אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם אשר קידשנו במצוותיו וציוונו להדליק נר של שבס.
Miasato I rekota behala I merabako saveshe inamiana wa kwaka. Seboriana malia alite shaya saliata beana. Mormora kalia aliana niatubaka. Sesho shumi inamiana malakotoba. Shama aliavakota beke. Shamana niaboko pokorea shana sitetea. Shakana niamalo bakalokopa alase. Shara limanakua. Itova ruma heleke sese sitaya ni malovo maya ni nanaka tivoshono seveshe miata niano maliata. Good day, good love, good light. It is an honor and divine grace and gratitude that we share with you today in honor of the goddess within all of us and Goddess Fridays. My name is Wendy, this is Dave, and together we share with you the connection to us in all things, the reminder that we are never disconnected to anything, especially Source, and that we take this opportunity on Fridays to empower the divine within us all, to remind us all of the light within each of us, the reminder that we together and universally in our own universe create our own reality. And together we share in the idea that we are multidimensional. Multidimensional in the essence that we are existing, many parts of us, expressions of us, all expressions of Source, our soul expressing itself in a myriad of ways. And we celebrate this on every Friday as we celebrate it every day in our lives. We explore how the idea of science and metaphysics are really all the same thing, that we are discovering that really science is already discovering. There really are parallel realities, that we exist all at the same time, that we as spiritual people, if you want to call it, those who have understood this idea of the connectedness of all things, that the all is the one is the all of us make up the one, the all. And that means by definition, we're all connected, and that we are always all connected to Source, our purpose, our being, all the parts of us, the way that we express ourselves. And today is about honoring the full moon, the Native Americans that named our full moons here as we understand them in this full moon on this June 5th of 2020, 11-11-11 energy, how numerology, spirituality, dates, numbers, the calendars, the different types of calendars, how all of this is connected, how all of this, even when we choose our names, the numbers associated with our names, when we're born, the sun signs in which we're born under. And this full moon happens to be in my birth sign, which is Sagittarius, the centaur, half man, half horse, lots of animal spirit energy. We love to explore the connectedness between our psychic abilities, our abilities to talk to nature, to speak to the animal spirits. How do animals bring us messages? When we see a butterfly or a bird or a dog or a horse or any kind of animal, how do all of these energies and how do they bring us messages from Source or from other aspects of ourselves? Today, I wanted to honor the strawberry moon here in June and to invite all of you to join us here in this webinar today as we celebrate not only the divine God and goddess within us, but how do also, as we uncover, bringing to the surface, if you will, artifacts, relics, how does archaeology, the things that we explore with symbols, how do these remind us of all of the aspects of that we are? How do these things that appear that we get downloaded, I guess, for books and music and movies, television, how does all of this help us all explore all of these aspects of ourselves. And when I first started my waking up process, if you will, a few of my guides appeared to me as Native Americans. And so one of the things we like to celebrate also is how do we talk with crystals? How do these other aspects of ourselves also connect with that idea? So today for me, it's been about celebrating Sagittarius, the element, if you will, the crystal, the stone turquoise. However you want to pronounce it, how that has always been a symbol for Native Americans as well. And how do the powers of this stone help us expand and explore these ideas within us. And it's my way also of honoring that part of me, that part of my guides that have been, and also for those guides who created the what we understand collectively as the United States of America, and how we've been discovering through our own, once again, Dave and my research about how they gathered here and came from the North and the South and became the teachers. They were the bridge between our understanding of the stars. How do the stars help us navigate physical reality? Their idea of the shaman, of understanding that we can receive information that is good for the community, whether it's our immediate tribe community, or is it the global community? We all have the capacity to connect with this information and receive this information just as they did. They were appreciative and honored the stars, the cycles, they honored nature. They understood that the earth contains everything we need. We talk about the medicine wheel. I have my medicine bag here. The idea of the idea of the parallel realities, and everything seems to be represented in wheels, isn't it? Especially recently. And for those of you who are familiar with Bashar, channeled by Daryl Anka, he's been exploring this and expressing this a lot lately in the parallel realities. And if we can see things not in a linear idea, but if we can look at things like the Wheel of Fortune, if we can look at everything as a wheel and all of us extending out from this one place. I even have a little yellow wheel that I have in my little medicine bag. As a matter of fact, I should have brought it over here. But the idea of the spokes and how we're all connected to that one center. And yet even that idea of being connected to our own center and looking at yourself, your soul, and all of the spokes coming out of that soul as all of the parts of you, and how you may have dreams, remembrances, we connect with each other, we dream of each other, we connect with all kinds of guides, whether it's from other star systems, whether it's other archetypes, religious archetypes, whether it's star systems, whether it is particular archetypes, animal archetypes, Egypt. We talk a lot about Egypt. We talk a lot about that idea of the connection with Maya, the Mayan, the Maya, and the discoveries that are happening there now in Mexico, unearthing the secret mysteries. That's what we're excited about. What are all these symbols? How do we learn the secret mystery schools? How do we tap into that ancient wisdom that we call ancient, but yet it's all accessible to all of us right now? How does the age of Aquarius, this is a new age, this is the age of Aquarius. We've come through the age of Pisces. This is the age of Aquarius, of expansion, of the idea of we are discovering how the things that we understood about reincarnation are really nothing more than aspects of our soul exploring and expressing itself in a myriad of different ways. And now we're beginning to understand we're consciously channeling information from all of these aspects and from all of the souls and souls and souls. So when we have these gatherings, it is your team, my team, Dave's team, all of our team, our ancestors, our guides, whoever they are, yours are, mine are, all of us. As I was saying, to Dave this morning about how, as I begin to prepare for these gatherings, it's as if they all start gathering in line, if you will. How did you say that, Kelly? They just like queuing up. Yes, it's like they start queuing up. It's like I can feel them, I can hear them. They all have things they want to share. So we invite you guys to share. Speaking of sharing, so several, I see a couple of you are already in the room. So welcome. Who have we got here today? So we've got, oh, hey, Beck. Hey, welcome, welcome. And we've got Earth. Hey, Earth. Good to meet you. Good to see you. Hey, darling. Good to meet you. So happy to have you here. My name's Wendy. If you guys are new to my channel, Languages of Lights, I've had my YouTube channel now for a little over 5 years, about 5.5 years now. I started on January 5 years ago. And I am actually, today I'm celebrating several things in addition to, if you've been watching me for a little while, a year ago today, I started doing Wednesdays with Wendy. And so we were exploring light languages, how to, and my passion for waking up one day and discovering the beauty and the magic of light language and how it's spreading like wildfire. But back then there was only a few of us and there was so little information about it. And so how do light languages, how does that have anything to do with anything right now? How does it have to do with aspects of speaking to other aspects of ourselves, to source? What is light language? What does it mean? And how does it, and the symbols that we just talked about, how does that relate to, how did language even begin for Earth? How did we start talking to each other? If we remember too, we're reminded by our Native Americans and many of our, actually, if you want to call it indigenous peoples of all of this planet, where did language begin? Because many of these stories have only been handed down through speech, through nothing was written. So this was, now we're understanding the preciousness of that information, that which has not been written is only told, and therefore we begin to understand the importance of stories. If we begin to understand the importance of stories, we begin to understand the importance of who we are, our stories. We are all the stories of Source. We are source speaking to itself. So today I celebrate the animal spirits, the horse energy, this idea of freedom. We're all pretty much ready, I think globally, ready to break out of the corral here. And so I'm feeling a lot of horse energy, that idea that the guides have been telling me, it's that idea of putting your ear to the earth and hearing the ground, the thunder in the earth, that it's this, something is happening. We are breaking out. We're ready for this idea of freedom. We are, and higher wisdom. The idea of, we talked about last week about the turtle coming out of its shell. Now it's about the idea of breaking free and the wisdom, and taking this, the wisdom, and the idea of the sleeping bear and waking up, and how are all these things connected? So these are the things that we explore. I've been sharing a myriad of this information on my channel for several years now. I have over 1,000 videos if you guys are new to my channel. Everything from chakra information, activations, balancing, becoming aware of them. How does all of this equate to what we, water? So I invite everybody, and when you're in these hangouts, bring your crystals, bring your water, bring, because these are all, we talk about using the word activating, but they are activating, they're connecting, they are when we understand that when we gather like this and all of our energies, we're literally supporting each other. So I've got water in here. I love the cup he chose today. So it's really perfect for the idea of Sagittarius and symbolism, arrows. So Sagittarian is the archer. So we're talking about shooting arrows. Abraham, Esther Hicks talks a lot about rockets of desire. So I always think about that with arrows and the idea of, and so I wanted to share with everybody, I don't know how close up you can see this, but Dave's artwork today. So I wanted to show, actually I was going to bring the pens over here, but I was surprised by the pens arriving the other day. There's these markers that are actually for doing temporary tattoos. So this is the first time. I don't know how long they last or if they can sustain water or anything, but so he drew this a little while ago in honor of our Native American spirits and the strawberry moon. This month is the Native Americans honoring that the strawberries are in bloom, and also they have little tiny flowers right before they bloom. So we have been also honoring the bee, the beehive. So we've got the bee energy, the horse energy, owl energy. So I wanted to point out behind me that we've got this little owl burning back here. It's there's a little candle beneath it, and we've got some sweetgrass in there. And what else did you put in there in the little cup above it?
Our temple oil.
The temple oil.
That we made.
And so it smells just delightful in there. So today's also about the higher wisdom. Sagittarius is about higher wisdom, philosophy. The teachers are the teachers, the leaders, the artists, so welcome all you artists and musicians. And so if you're just coming into light language, much of what I do as well is drawing symbols. And many of us, including back here in the room, have been drawing these, what we call galactic symbols and sacred circuitry. And if you're familiar with Bashar and the sacred circuits from Sirius, so we've got the hexagon, the triangle energy, the idea of the Star of David, the idea that that symbol in itself is universal. It is recognized. It's also the mirror image of our Merkaba, the two triangles, that which drives us, the idea of sacred geometry. We explore a lot of that here about sacred geometry and symbolism, and how does that everything. And I was thinking about Beverly, that's something that she shared too, that we've been exploring. Jane's discovery, which I've shared on my YouTube, or excuse me, on my Facebook page, Languages Lights, Wendy Wolf, WOLFE. And so all of this, how do the numbers and numerology, and actually that was a fascinating piece because it helped us understand time and cycles and how did we come up with days and weeks. And we talk a lot about that. So today is a 15-day manifest, which equals number 6. So today's date, 6/5/2020. So we've got this idea of 11-11-11 energy. So I've got the 6 and the 5-11 and the 2 and the 2, if you're following that idea. And so with the 15 is the last of the symbols that we're given. And if you look at these, I'm being reminded by our Sasani Sirius, these are brought to us through the Sasani family, through Sirius star system family, these symbols. And each of these were brought to us many years ago through Bashar, through Daryl. And we were told to at first look at them in a particular sequence and then to use them as we were guided. And so I've been guided all of these years to continue to share these, because there's this idea too that we have to remember our Native Americans were also, as well as so many other, I don't know what word I want to use, but understood our connection to the star Sirius and that star system. So that's been a little bit about that energy with here as well. Dave and we've been exploring a lot of that Sirius energy, that idea of amphibious energy, the idea of, that's another thing we haven't really talked about either, that this week has been about crocodiles and that idea of alligators, but crocodiles specifically, their ancient wisdom. So, and so this final is also a triangle. And it also happens to be, I don't know if it's hard to see, but their family crest for the Sasani, there you go, you can see it a little bit, is a triangle with a spiral in the center. So, and also with the extended line, sorry, Dave, always cover your face. So then if we take, but if we look at this as a story, we begin to see that when we center, we expand. And then as we expand, we balance and expressing ourselves. And so if you play with these, we begin to be able to tell different stories. And so today is also a number 6. And so today I would say we're extending ourselves together in order to manifest. And you brought up a really good one the other day. It was, oh, where is it? It was so good.
A balancing
act. Balancing act. It happened to be that day. So we're talking about balance today. So that particular day equaled 12 and which equaled 3. So he said, boy, it's a balancing act. And I thought, wow, how perfect a message for all of us right now. That isn't kind of all of this feel a little bit like a balancing act for all of us, trying to balance what we love, understanding that it can bring us abundance, that we can manifest the things that we desire, that we can create a reality that if we can just understand, if we can create a reality of an abundance of lack, then why can't we create a reality of an abundance of everything that we need, support, love, whatever financial abundance means to you. All of these things, we can have an abundance of things we don't want. So when we think of abundance, we have to think about what is it that we have, what do we have, what are we putting our trust in? So all of these things help us connect. And as we connect with our crystals, so today I wanted to share a little bit about the turquoise today. And I want to thank again my star sister Lori for the book and the crystals, and to all of you, and Gracie, who's also gifted me with turquoise. And so I've got a few different turquoise things on. So it was that idea of celebrating that energy as well. So if you guys wanted to join us, I wanted to let you know too that the Zoom link to join us here in the room is on my website, languagesoflights.com, in the Goddess Fridays page. So, and of course the link to to interact with us here as well. So, and oftentimes if we do have the time, after we go off live, you all are welcome to hang out in the hangout when we're off live, meet each other, connect with each other. That's part of what we're doing here, is our little wolf pack here, finding our tribe. People of like minds who want to explore more of all that they are, why we're here. How many times do we ask, what's our purpose? This is how we figure out our purpose. And how does that brought through oracle cards? I love doing oracle cards too, with the messages through that, and the blessings that Dave brings, and a little bit about Fridays. If you're new to the channel, why we light the menorah.
Well, on Fridays, we honor the menorah. We light the menorah to honor the coming of the Sabbath, which starts Friday night. And we talked, I think, a little bit last week also about the idea of the temple menorah representing the light within and the uniqueness of every person and their light. And that's a reminder for that.
I love that.
The temple menorah has seven. Lights. In temple times it was oil. That's true. Yes. So, and actually olive oil, you guys. So we talk about the plants and incense, and how, if we remember, all of these are plants. And one of the things that we've been exploring, and I've been exploring for a very long time, if it interests any of you, is the connection with Willa, who is a being 700 years in our future. She says upline, that's channeled through Bashar, through Daryl. And she teaches us about the 5 levels of mastery, and the first being really the connection with nature, literally understanding that everything has eyes, everything has a consciousness, that we can connect with plants and animals in different ways. And I'm just reminded, aside from that, how do light languages, how do they help us heal? How do they help us align our chakras? I was just reminded about my connection with my dog Ranger yesterday, and doing a Reiki healing on him, and along with light languages, and what his reaction is as I do this with him. And so I'm reminded to share that with all of you too, that we all have this ability to transmit intentionally the energy, and through our hands and through our intentions and through our blessings, to other people to our animal guide, to our companions. It doesn't, any animal companion. So we, as masters of guardians of Gaia, have always understood the tree hugger theory, you know, mentality that everything is a language of light. And when my guides first came to me in the forest, when I very first did my very first light language video, it was all about bringing the light codes they told me, the information in the data, the information, the messages that are part of our DNA, part of my DNA, to help me help everyone else remember that. And that they said to me, we are the emissaries of the light collective. And to remind you, everything speaks, it's a language of light, whether it's color, sound, everything has a song to sing, a universal, its own verse of the whole symphony of source. And so that is how my journey began as far as videos. And then how do light languages affect physical matter? How do they help us expand and explore? And then what do they have to do with Native Americans? And so we start looking into the idea of drones, sound. We didn't talk about that last week. Chauffeur.
Oh, right.
The horn, the chauffeur horn. So all of these ideas of the flute, music, the how music and sound, singing bowls, why does it affect us? Why does music make us feel amazing or sad or happy? It's a vibration, it's a tone. Many people who start waking up, speaking of tones, I get a tone in my ear, I just got another tone in my ear. Many people will hear a light language, if you will, and it only comes out in a tone, literally just a or so if we can begin to feel comfortable with that idea, we begin to understand chanting. How long has chanting been a part of the Native American culture and so many other indigenous cultures, not just Native Americans, not just native to America, but understanding that this information also comes from multidimensional, that these are connective spirits, that they're permission slips to connect to the earth, the air, the fire, the water. If we understand now, it's science. We can talk to the water, sing to the water, speak light languages to the water, and it changes the molecular structure of the water as it does to the molecular structure in your body. So when we know that we have that power, over these last many years, actually, I've been receiving the idea of the power that the symbols have also as they're put on things, such as anything, vessels that we drink out of, eat out of, that we put around our home. Dave and I have been talking a lot about that, about drawing light language symbols on chimes. It's about alchemy. How can we take this and make something new out of it? How can we take what we know or as we talk about, forget everything you ever knew. Forget everything you ever knew, or ask ourselves, what would the natives do? Well, they would look to the earth. Well, we already know, and we're finding out every day that we haven't even begun to discover that if you take this plant and put it together, it makes something magical new. We haven't even begun to discover that, or shall I say, remember. So there's that idea too, that nothing's really new. Light language is not new. It's not new. And so so we explore all of these things, and we invite all of you to do that here in these Hangouts. We thank all of you for your participation, your sharing of these videos. I don't spend a lot of time on social media, so I love when you guys take the opportunity and the time to share these videos, to let people know about that they're not crazy. If you know somebody, or if you wake up one day and you're speaking these languages or don't understand what's happening, or you're writing these symbols, I wanted to share with you a couple things. I want to see if there was anything else I wanted to share. I want to say hi to my friend Bree too, for just acknowledging our year anniversary today of when we started the light language live, and then which then led into these Friday webinars. And so I just wanted to take that time to acknowledge her and all of you for joining us today, and thank all of you for who've been with me for a little while. Thank all of you for who take the time to write us comments and personally. So many of you who have subscribed to the website. Thank you so much as we grow and expand and share more and more of our information. And there's just not enough time to do it all on a Friday, and we try to squeeze it all in. And yet there's more that we want to do in shorter increments. So there's a lot of that going on. So we love that your interactions. I want to thank all of you for your private sessions, your donations, all of the time and love and energy that you spend with us is truly what helps feed the family connection with all of us. And so I was just looking to see if there was anything else that I wanted to mention. And a few things that came to me too were some symbols that I would, where did I put them?
Happy Goddess Friday.
Happy Goddess Friday, everybody. So there
are a
is.
couple of quick things that I want to
Oh
say.
yeah, please go ahead.
I know you have
And
a
I've got
ton
tons
of
of cards, so go ahead.
First, I want to just mention the idea about the Native American Indians, and I want to take out the term American.
Thank you.
Because
that's a good point.
Really, the Native American Indians also came from the South and the North, and we want to certainly not
North as far as the poles we're
as far as
talking
the
about. I mean,
poles.
that's what we're really, yeah.
So we certainly don't want to not include everyone, and a lot of the ancient knowledge came from the far north and the far south as they migrated to America, which at that time was not America. So
true that.
the other idea too is we're honoring the Indian culture today with the idea that the animal spirits
yes
are very closely tied to all things in the ancient Indian cultures, and how astrologically, instead of the Indian cultures representing things by the astrological signs, they have spirit animals that are associated with the different times and astrological alignments, and how that ties into the whole thing. But I do also want to mention first, because I feel it's a little important, that we take a few minutes to mention the idea of how the internet.
Yes, thank you. We did have a talk. We did talk about that. Yes.
Is a tool that has been designed for us to make things easier for us to connect spiritually across the whole world. And I'll let you talk more about that, about the idea of forgetting everything you always knew, and how a lot of people sort of have a negative concept of using your phones and using the internet,
yes,
always
that's
being
true.
online. And especially now, when it's not the easiest thing to go out, the internet is the best form of communication there is. And it doesn't matter if you're next door or if you're across the whole world. What better way is there to discuss these kinds of things and to expand our awareness more than using things like the Zoom and internet and YouTube and Facebook and all the things that we used to think we don't like to do and you should put them away and spend more time out in nature. Well, as Bashar has said, and Cryon and a lot of other spiritual people, the internet existed in other civilizations and other realities and other worlds, and they were a key part in their spiritual growth. And it's just another tool to help us.
It's true. And actually in many other star systems, it has been a means of understanding what it actually is like to be connected to um, all things, really. If you think about it, when you think about the internet, you think of it as a way to really look up just about anything about just about anything. So, hey guys, hey, how are you doing? Hey, Beverly, tell you what, we were thinking about you. I'll tell you what. And I just want to remind you guys too that I shared on my Facebook page that Beverly had shared with me a couple of days ago that Jane's revelation, Jain, and we can put the link in the comment section too for you guys. But on my Facebook page, I shared it because it was just this fascinating information about what we were talking about the idea of the numbers and 1111. If you're familiar with that idea, and how many of us have used numerology and 1111 and seeing multiple numbers and things like that. Well, you know, there are scientific aspects and numerological aspects to all of that. So anyway, it was just something that I wanted to let everybody know about, that I shared, and because it was really intriguing. So I mean, I was even telling Dave too, I'm like, I need an image of that wheel in my house. You know, it's like, I need to see that representation of it. So anyway, but with that said, as far as the internet, it really is an internet, as many of them refer to it as, an internet collective consciousness, because it has allowed us to really truly connect in a way that we never have been able to before. And now that, as Dave mentioned, now that we haven't been forced to be inside, we've even realized the significance, I want to say, of the internet itself, and how it has actually become the bridge of connecting everybody when we couldn't physically. And it is also, if you see, there's so many more people who have come out of their shells because of it, and all of the more and more conferencing and having to call. People have had, who never had to deal with the internet before, are all of a sudden forced to be in a situation, even parents and schoolwork and downloading schoolwork and having to upload stuff and take pictures of their kids' homework. And I mean, all of these things that are having to expand this idea of but still remind us that we're all connected. And so it's very interesting how I've really felt very blessed, actually, to have the internet, because I wouldn't have found the people that I found. I actually started speaking light languages in a webinar, live webinar, very much like this, with others who were already speaking them. Some were not, some were on camera, some were not, some were shy. Some were fluent, some were just doing it for the first time. Some of these people were doing it all their lives. Many of them understood it under different, like spirit languages, soul languages, star languages. Even people have called it speaking in tongues in certain circles and religions and so forth. Lots of questions and answers around all of this. What does it all mean? What does it got to do with anything? And what does it have to do with ascension? Does it have anything to do with ETs? So all of these things were swirling around. And so now one day I felt drawn to that, and I didn't know why. And I had been watching a few others on YouTube, and started feeling things and experiencing things and emotions that I didn't understand. I started seeing symbols in my dreams. I started seeing sacred geometry in my dreams. I started noticing more. I've always been a person who's paid attention to the 1111 thing. That's how I kind of found out about the word light worker. Was I Googled one day 1111, and it was like this whole world opened up to me, like, oh my God, this is who I am. Oh my God. So that was, so the idea of 1111 was what actually was part of my whole awakening alarm clock, if you will, and which has been, I think, the case with many of us. So we often explore that idea of each other, you know, with that. So that's one of the things that many of us share, even personally, is and when I started sharing things like, I would take a picture of the clock all the time and post it on Facebook. And did you want to share something about that? Or
well, it's just another example of how the internet allows for an easier way to get messages to you.
yes,
So what easier way is there to get you a spiritual message than to go to Google and type in something that you're thinking about and scrolling through the results and seeing what sort of feels like the right thing, because the message might have nothing to do with what you're looking at or what you're looking for. And a lot of times, particularly lately on Google, you try to do a search and all
it's
these
like
weird things
nothing comes up.
Well, maybe there is something there that's pertinent to you, and that's how the message is getting to you. Because if you don't hear the message coming in here, you might see it when you're doing your Google search or when you're driving around and, you know, seeing an ad on a billboard, and, you know, or a picture or a bird flies by or whatever it is. It's just another tool for messages to get to you. And because we create our own reality, all the things that are coming to us, including things on Google or posts on Facebook or whatever it might be.
That's true.
It's another way for messages to get to you.
Yes, it is.
And
absolutely.
I'm pretty sure everyone that I've known in the spiritual community ever wanted more clarity.
Yep.
And easier messages, and perhaps we're getting them and not noticing.
That's the ticket, is that it's so many people will say, well, how do I connect with my spirits, or how do I receive messages from my angels? How do I, well, that we're always getting them. It's just, we're not aware we're getting them. And so when we, so when we do spend time in nature, which all of us, of course, we were talking about that today, that most of the time, most of us, after being in a hangout on the internet, we'll usually go outside. You know, we usually go outside. We get, you know, put our feet on the ground, we go grounding, because we understand too, innately we understand this is also another high level of becoming more psychic. I mean, when we're together in these hangouts, all of us, we're vibrating in a much higher frequency. So we literally need to ground back with the earth to bring the information, the data, the light codes, the information, the messages from our higher selves, our higher minds that we're receiving back here, if you will. And then after the hangouts, we go about our daily business, all of us. But yet we have got to be able to it's great to spend all that time in higher dimensions and higher chakras and higher frequencies, but what good does it do us if we don't bring it down? And this is to earth and use it in our daily lives. And I think about the horse again, the hooves on the ground, that idea of, and then together, how the power that the horses have together. And one of the things that we love sharing is about the animal archetypes. And one of the things I wanted to share with you guys too is a few things about that idea. And it's funny because I was just looking up horse symbolism, and I came across several of these sites. And one of them is the horse. It's time to expand your horizons. Take that leap and jump out of your comfort zone. Horse. I mean, it's literally from horse. So, and it's interesting because the horse really is about the freedom of the spirit. And isn't that what everybody's feeling again right now? Everyone's feeling cooped up, corralled in. Everyone is ready to unite in a new way, right? And change the course of history, change their reality. And I was just kind of looking through to see if there's so many things that I wanted to share with you guys, but I hate just sitting here reading things. Was there something you wanted to mention as well?
It's interesting too. We talk about going out into nature, and without having internet, the idea of communing with nature and the spirit animals, what easier way is there when you're out in nature, especially when we live in communities and cities and towns? When you're out in nature, all of nature is always working right along with us for everything.
Yes.
So when you're in nature, you have the trees and the animals and the, you know, the birds and the insects and all those things that can bring you the messages very easily because they're all there waiting to help. And the idea that these messages could be brought in now through the internet as well for those people who can't just go out and sit in the forest for a couple hours.
Exactly.
But the idea of communing with nature certainly goes right along with the idea of the Indian ideas of all the animal spirits and what they mean and how to interpret them. And the idea that you might be sitting in the forest, just being quiet, and you see an owl, or you're sitting in the forest and you see a frog. What do all these things mean? And we create these definitions to make it easier for us to understand what the messages are. So, for instance, the wise owl might have a message that has to do with something specific. Well, if we believe that a woodpecker means one thing and an owl means another thing, whatever is most appropriate for the message that needs to come to you for that moment is the thing that's going to come. So if you need to think wisely about something, you're not going to see a woodpecker, you're going to see an owl. And when you're out in nature, you have all these animals around ready to come in and deliver the message.
Yes. I always get downloads as you're talking. I get all these visions and downloads. And it is so true, because how many of us don't really pay attention to those things yet, more and more, because excuse me, all of us are sharing these. We're becoming more aware of these connections and the messages that are within them. And then we're more likely to go look something up that would give us that message. And so this whole week, I want to share with you guys the Animal Spirit Guidebook that we periodically pull cards out of. And I love the inside of this too. 2 feet, 4 feet, scales or hide. May our minds stay open and our wings span wide. So I love that idea. And so I wanted to share a couple of messages that this last week, I have always been very connected to the horse energy and being a Sagittarian and that idea of a centaur, half man, half horse. And I've always lived around where there was horses around me and people who were involved with horses. And my high school's right down the street from the much equestrian stuff. So kind of area. So, but this week
and
specifically.
It turns out that we live right next door.
Oh yeah.
To horse walking.
Yeah, like
I
know. I was like, we didn't even realize that right there, part of the dog park is like an equestrian walk area. And so all of this horse energy.
I'm going to check on AJ.
Sure. Okay.
But I do want to say one other thing, that the reason why we talk about all this stuff and share the synchronicities that we experience, and then also bring it to the next level of looking into it and explaining what we find and looking at the cards, is so everyone that's listening can sort of get an idea of how to follow the bouncing ball and see where these synchronicities lead to other things. And what might seem like the silliest little thing of talking about something and hearing the wind chime make a noise right at the right moment when we're asking a question, or wondering if this is what it means, and then all of a sudden you just hear chimes.
It's like
when it's not windy, you figure things out. So the idea of explaining how these things are working with us makes it easier for everyone else listening to also sort of identify with those same things. And pretty soon, when you start listening to all these little signs and noticing them, they start to make a lot of sense, and they fill in all the gaps, and the puzzle pieces start falling
And they
together.
they really do. And our Native Americans, well, I say native spirits, I should say native, we should use a better, maybe we should say native earth. You know what I mean? Native earth peoples, because really it's not just about America. It's about that idea of the indigenous and,
Well, I guess the Indians would say our ancestors.
Yes, exactly. Their ancestors. That's a very good way to put it. That's a really good way to put it. So yes,
and
well,
Brian talks about that too, honoring the ancestors.
he does. I mean, this is the thing too, is we think of channeling as new, thank you, and new energy, but yet again, it's ancient as it is new. And so I wanted to welcome everybody here in the room again, Beverly and Earth and Jessica and Rebecca, Beck. So if you wanted to chime in, if you wanted to make a comment, there's not too many of us in the room, but if you're familiar with the little Zoom thing, there's a place where you can raise your hand. I always forget where that's at. You can raise your hand if you want to say something. Otherwise, just go ahead and unmute and let us know if you wanted to say something or just, wave in case we're not paying attention. So, and then there is a side chat here. Also for the people in the Zoom room, there's a little chat button. So if you wanted to talk, if you wanted to send us a little type a message within the room here, let us know if you have, wanted to share something, or we can share it for you. If you guys want to join the Zoom room and you don't want to be on camera, you don't have to be, and you don't have to have your sound on if you don't want to. We always enjoy the faces, the energy, the smiles, anything you all have to share. We love the fact that you're here and just being with us. So thank you so much. And for all of you that are joining us for the first time, I so much appreciate it. Oh my God, look at the size of that. Oh my God. What the heck? Earth, oh my God. What the heck? Look at that. That is an amazing, is that a crystal? Oh my gosh. That is really something. Oh my God. That is crazy. Oh. That is really great. Did you want to say something? If you want to go ahead and unmute, go ahead. I can unmute too. That is really amazing. I can't hear you.
There you go. Can you hear me?
Yes, hi.
Hi, nice to meet you, Wendy. It's kyanite.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so this is the one I decided to bring today.
Wow.
Energy to everybody, all that positive energy that can be administered in this Zoom room today.
Oh, I'm so excited. Thank you. Oh, that is the biggest. Now I've got some kyanite pieces that are like this big. I've never in my life seen such.
Just as powerful.
I've got goosebumps. Oh my God, that is so awesome. Oh my God.
The beams from it.
Yes.
You all are.
Oh, thank you. It's like all of a sudden I feel like light languages. All of a sudden, like, oh my gosh.
That's the one that wanted to come out today. So that's probably.
Oh, I love it. And I have to say, I have to find it now. I got to look and see, because I know there's something I'm probably supposed to share in here. And like I said, I've got a couple pieces of kyanite. I don't have them right here in front of me. But
Dave, you got to check it out.
But yeah, I was like, oh my God, you got to see this, where she is, Earth there.
I want to show him the
there it is. Look at the size of that thing.
Wow.
That is really, oh my God. I'll have to find it in my book, because I wanted to see if there was, I always feel like there's a message, well, there is always a message from them, it's like, okay, I guess I could just look it up. I was trying to find it really quick in my, without having to look it up in the index. So what we'll share with us, if you will, any information or like, what would you use it for? What do you use it for? And what do you feel its messages for us today? That's what I really want to know. Oh, you're muted. You're muted. You're muted.
Sorry.
Got it? Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so I think with the kyanite as well as selenite, these crystals have these nice formations, the line energy that transmits energy just like a quartz crystal would. But the beautiful thing about these is that it only transmits positive energy. It cannot hold any negative energy.
That's correct.
You don't need to clean it. Not that it wouldn't enjoy the sun, but it's not needed. And so pieces of kyanite and selenite would be good to put in doorways, or just for meditation to, again, clear the system of any current blockages. If you work with it daily, I'm sure it would help with chronic. But I wanted to bring my labradorite down, but this was the one that spoke to me, and I'm not 100% sure why, except that it also enlightens the third eye for getting that imagination and creativity flowing.
Perfect.
And as well, I guess it's just huge.
One of the things I'm getting too that's interesting, you guys, and I wanted you to stay on, if you will, Earth, is the image behind you is also very indicative of the parallel idea, the parallel realities, how they're laid out. And the kyanite, interestingly, along with turquoise that I was going to talk about today, both of those stones, according to the book, are for all chakras. And it's interesting, on the kyanite, it's for inner bridges. And if I could look through the deck, but on the picture, which you guys, if you can see it in black and white, but it's a picture of a bridge. And so it's for all chakras. The affirmation is, the universe is working to connect me with my highest good. So interesting that you brought kyanite, which is for all the chakras. The turquoise is for all the chakras. Hey, Jody, welcome, hon. And it says, I would just want to see what really sticks out here. Kyanite is a powerful and beautiful stone that forms in a blade-like crystals in a massive form, exhibiting a beautiful silvery blue to green color, but also appearing in black and golden colors. Here we go. Kyanite initiates psychic ability and promotes communication with higher beings. There we go. See, so interesting how that you were guided to bring that one. And I've had labradorite here too in these hangouts, but very interesting that was the one that both of us chose a particular stone that, according to this particular reference guide, is for all chakras. So this is important for all of us today, that it's for all chakras, for all of us. All of these messages are for each other. I'm really excited that you brought that today. And it says it is a stone whose physical structure and vibration make it a fantastic transmitter of energy. It can therefore be used to enhance telepathy between two people and transmitting energy from healing facilitator to a client. So many of us who are in the actual business, if you want to call it, the passion of promoting healing energy, whether it's for a business or just because it's something you're guided to do. I think that this is an important part of the idea too, of supporting the fact that when we bring these stones to the internet in these hangouts and broadcast this energy out there, we're literally changing the vibration, the Schumann resonance, and which is also changing the vibration of all the beings, which again, you guys, if we understand, we're talking physics here. If we understand physics and how we create parallel realities, we understand you're never changing the earth you're on or the body you're in. You're changing the vibration of your being that creates you then resonating with a version of earth that already is existing, that's more parallel and congruent and harmonious to the being that you truly are. So we move to that vibration, which then we move to the vibration of interacting with all of those beings who are of that like vibration. That is how this works. This is not, it's metaphysical in the aspect that this is the bridge of the physical and non-physical realities, that we understand that this stuff is not, that energy exists, it always exists, we always exist, and the energy from these crystals. This is why we're told to ground, because you're part of the elements of these crystals and they are part of you. And if we understand that, if we can really look at the earth, you guys, if we want to call it the collective consciousness of earth, if you want to look at it as a star being, it's a body literally hanging in space with a whole bunch of other bodies being bombarded minute by minute by minute with millions of particles from all over the universe, multiverse, from space all the time. Why would we think it is so strange for elements from space and other worlds be a part of our world? Why is that so hard for us to understand? And why would we think that these elements that are part of the earth, including ones that come from meteorites, that why would we think that they don't have information? Why would we think that we aren't connected to them? When we talk about the elements, well, if you open up your cabinet and look at a vitamin bottle, well, what does it say on it? Zinc and selenite and are they going to, I mean, really, if you think about it, our body, physical body is a crystal made up of all these other crystals. So if we can understand, these are just another way of illustrating how we're all connected to all things. Everything's connected to everything. So why wouldn't a kyanite crystal help you open up your psychic abilities? Why wouldn't it? So, and Jody's here, Jody Reiki medium, she uses crystals regularly with Reiki. So we're beginning to understand the alchemy with all of this. And we use crystals with symbols now. How many people now are taking a rock off the ground or a crystal and literally drawing symbols on them, creating something new? When we take one thing and add another thing together, it creates a brand new alchemy, a new thing. So anytime we take any one thing and add another thing to it, we're creating a third thing. That third thing has a whole new energy of its own. So when we take that so if we take the kyanite, and I didn't pull the card, but this is kind of an interesting illustration for turquoise. But if you look, you guys, wholeness. So it's also a circle, just as Earth has around her. Our Earth is a circle. Sorry, Dave, I keep doing that. So again, and the moon, today's a full moon. So we associate the full moon with the wolf. Well, my name happens to be Wendy Wolf. I also pulled the wolf card today. So we talk about how do crystals connect with those ideas and the animals. Well, today is about wholeness. So turquoise, the native spirit guides have taught us that wholeness is about being connected to all things, right? All that is all that is. God is, what we call God is the one. The one is the all are the one. So wholeness. The whole point of all of this, the whole point of all of us connecting on the internet is also about understanding where. Don't you guys find, and I love you guys who send hi everybody from all the other countries, and Junac, so happy to see you from Sweden, and Dahlia, and all you guys connecting with. This is another thing I remind you guys to connect with each other. Now you find 2 other people who found each other that live in Sweden, so maybe you're close enough to connect. So wholeness, how are we all connected? How are we all experiencing being whole with each other and with all things? We are one whole being. The rainbow
serpent.
The rainbow serpent.
That's what it is.
That is what the rainbow. So again, the rainbow, you guys, the rainbow. We talked about the rainbow a lot last week. And Jessica, my rainbow girl. Wholeness, turquoise, chakras, all. The affirmation. I love, accept, and integrate all aspects of myself. Multidimensionality, you guys. That's what this is all about. Multidimensional means I am a soul made up of many, many, many other souls who also are having other lives and other dimensions. So we talk about the Native Americans or the 1800s or the ancient Egypt, but they're all happening right now. Just as the spokes behind Earth and the wheel. I'm so happy you have that behind you, because that is the exact representation of what Dave and I have been talking about this week, what Beverly sent to me this week. It's all about the spokes of a wheel. This whole thing has been about that this week, and about parallel realities. And the rainbow, the 7 chakras, the colors, the 7 rays, if you will. The corona is a rainbow around the earth, right? crown, if you will, kings and queens coming into our divinity. The rainbow serpent represents all of creation and its infinite nature. This is what we came to share with each other, you guys, is that we're infinite beings. We have an infinite nature. We never stop doing this. And this physical reality is just a small piece of all that we are. And even when we think, I was reminded about the dream catcher, how when we dream, that's our reality. The Native Americans, if you will, use dream catchers as that idea of catching the bad spirits, if you will, and I think of it too, when we dream, we're together in a non-physical sense, we're always together. Then we come here to play physical reality and pretend we're not connected to anything. And it contains within its coils the unity of the universe represented by turquoise. And so I've got a few pieces of turquoise today to help draw this energy for all of us. The same with the kyanite, to help draw that, to emit that energy for all of us. The snake and the universe that it contains are a mosaic made up of myriad of pieces of creation. And that is the whole point with all of us. God, creation, we are all elements of that same one thing that we call creation. And the thing that connects us all is that element of ether, which is love. It is all the background of everything. Ether, the background, love is what connects everything. And it is the backdrop. It is the paper. It is the parchment for love. It's the love is the parchment for every other thing upon it. That is what my guides have said to me. This image represents the necessity of all creation moving into harmony before achieving wholeness. Aren't we all moving into harmony before we achieve wholeness? Part of what light languages have brought for me is, and my first name that they told me my name was harmony. That was what they told me my name is. Me, Wendy. Your name represents harmony. This is what your essence has come to bring, to show everybody how to find harmony. Oh, I like this. How to find harmony through wholeness. That's so good. How to find harmony through wholeness. I should quote that, you guys. Quote, quote, quote. And actually, I wanted to share the title of today. I changed, was inspired by you. And you said, what did you say? I put it right in the title of the Facebook thing, and the Facebook post, and I already forgot. It was the exploration of our, I don't know if I remember what I put in my title, you guys. Spiritual expansion, or what? How could I forget already? Anyway, I forgot my own book. I was like, oh wait, did I put it in my book? I think I did, because I wanted to say, because I was quoting Dave. Or
did you just type it?
I think I might have typed it right immediately, because I did. I typed it because I didn't want to forget. Anyway, it was something he inspired me about the title in the Facebook description. It was only, I think, in the Facebook one, and I can't remember which one it was. But it was just so funny, because it was about us together expanding and our experience of our spiritual. I don't know. I was like, I forget already. So it was. But again, it's about wholeness, about going through this together. It's about, understanding that even by the fact that we have had to be separated, isn't it funny, you guys, how even by this global separation that we've actually, and really what we've discovered is how we're actually all connected. It's kind of funny how it took us all pretending that globally that we're, and this is the thing about the whole metaphor for coming to playing in physical reality, is that we came here to pretend that we're separated from all things, and there's nowhere in creation that nowhere in creation do beings understand the idea of the experience of, sorry you guys, I've been it's bugging me, of separation. This is the only place that any place comes to even experience the idea of being separate from source. It's like nobody in all of creation, except playing the game here, can understand, well, why would you even think you're separate from everything? Who would think that? Why would you think that? And isn't it funny how now we've actually played it out? We've played it out globally as far as we can take it, you guys. If we have ever pretended or played out the game that we've been separated, even, and how now, isn't it funny how even when we go to the grocery store and they've got the things where, 6 feet apart and all this stuff, how excited we all are to like be together again and hug and touch each other. And it's like all the things that we took for granted that are like, we're being shown to be so grateful for. Did you find it?
No.
I'll find it.
Boy,
I put it in quotes too, because it's in one of my
I
heads.
say something really good and that was a different reality. We've moved on.
Oh, you always have good. And that's what I told him too. I said, and he's always channeling information and he thinks he's not channeling. I'm like, see, we're all understanding. We're all conscious channelers here. We're all, we're all understanding that. So I wanted to share with you also. Is there something you wanted to share today before I read this? I feel like you have something to say.
Yeah, go back to the turquoise.
Go back to the turquoise?
Mhm.
Is that what you're telling me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Or
Yeah.
was it?
Mhm.
Next page.
Was it this one? No.
What's that?
Was it?
Hmm.
Did you have something you wanted to see or read from there? How did I lose the page? Oh, wait. I'm sure.
Because we took
Oh,
the
wait.
card out.
Oh, I think it was it
There it is.
206? Yeah. 206.
Okay.
Which one?
Did you read this?
No,
Because you stopped.
I know I did. Well, I don't always read it all, but okay. I guess it's important.
So I cheated and I
guess
went
it's important.
ahead and I
guess
was
it's
looking through it.
Okay.
And this
one?
is exactly what we're trying to do
Okay.
here with bringing in the God and Goddess energies.
Okay.
And
This ally?
Mhm.
Okay. This ally supports the ability to perceive the disparate aspects of oneself and to integrate those parts into a whole picture of one's total being. Well, that pretty much explains our mission statement for Goddess Fridays. As a spiritual human being, you may embody many paradoxes. You may be kind, yet sometimes act cruelly or thoughtlessly. You may want to embrace transformation or change, yet sabotage yourself out of fear of the very change you say you seek. This is very important, you guys. You may allow certain parts of your personality to express with one group of people. Ooh, the crux of authenticity. Yet hide other parts of yourself out of fear of judgment or shame. Well, if there was anything about fear, judgment, shame, it was about going on live YouTube dressed up silly. So there we have it. And I will say to you guys, I'm going to put a shout out to my friend Ray Lee, who happened to, I posted on Facebook, you guys, I swear to God, last Friday, the next Saturday, the day after, she, for the same holiday that we celebrated last weekend, wore the exact same green fairy outfit I wore in this very hangout. She wore it, had nothing to do with me. She had no idea until I posted pictures of me, and she's like, and sends me a personal video, and that's on her page, on her Facebook page. She wore the very same outfit and she had wings, you guys. She just decided to take it out of her Halloween box and decided that that is how she was going to celebrate the very same holiday last week. So I just want to share that with you.
And wore it all day and went out dressed
and
that way.
she wore it into town with her girlfriend. She dressed, and she used the word goddess.
Mhm.
She dressed up her girlfriend as a goddess, and then her and her girlfriend went out dressed up just as they were, just like in those outfits. So there it is, you guys. This is why we are doing what we're doing, because it's no different than watching a play, being on television, watching a sitcom, a movie. We are each and every one. And this is what I wanted to point out, that's something you brought up the other day. This is a very important point, you guys. Talk about not being the same person with the same people. When we go back to our jobs, what do you have to wear? A costume. Now, it doesn't matter whether you work at a grocer, whether you are a server in a restaurant, whether you are in an office and have to wear a suit and tie or a suit dress,
Or in a hospital.
in a hospital, a mask and a gown, scrubs. Where, guys, tell me where and when are we not in costume playing a role? And then we go home. What's the first thing you do? Most of us girls know the very first thing we do. That goes. So you know what I'm saying? Freedom. The first thing you do is take off your costume. You let your hair down, you put on your jammy pants, and you are yourself. Now, tell me, every one of you guys, tell me honest to God that you don't get up every day or every night, depending on what shift you're working, and put on a costume and play a role that is not all you. How many of all of you go to work and bring all of this to work and are not ashamed to tell everybody what you do, that you believe in crystals, that you do blessings at night, that you play with channelers, that you speak light languages, that you do these hangouts? How many of all of you are going to go back to work and be brave enough to tell anybody about what you do on a Friday afternoon? To experience yet hide other parts of yourself out of fear of judgment or shame. To experience wholeness, you will need to find a way to allow all of these very different parts of yourself to come together into a total picture of who you are. Just like we talked about last week, you guys, the puzzle. Both on a human personality level and on a soul level. This can only occur through the practice of self-love. And we've talked about this before, about self-love and myself, that self-love, self-knowing, know thyself. Practice of self-love and self-acceptance. How many of us accept all of these parts of us and honor them everywhere we go? This can only occur through practice of self-love and self-acceptance combined with honesty, looking at what it is you try to hide or deny within yourself. This is what we talk about when how do we entitle a webinar? Bringing out the God and Goddess within you, the divine, all of you, all of the multidimensional aspects of all that you are, and accepting the rainbow of all that you are. Why do you think we went out of the box and dress up like this to help all of us come out of this idea about denying all aspects of all that you are? We are all part of all of the dreams of Source. We've all explored all of these things, good, bad, ugly, and indifferent. We've all been a part of that. Just like it just said earlier before about sometimes we act out of integrity. Sometimes we say and do cruel things that we realize we accept as a part of us, but we also can realize that is how you change who you are in your past, is by saying that is not who I want to be anymore. And this is a very important message. I'm really glad that you went back to this. And I need to go back to this right here, because this sky blue to green mineral combines water, wind, fire, earth energies. And that song I sang a couple of weeks ago came into my mind, you guys. And I told Dave I might sing it again today. I lost the piece of paper, but yeah, I see it now. Because that was the song that it's about the earth, air, wind, fire, binding us as one. Therefore containing the power and unity of the storm element. And aren't we in the storm right now, you guys? We're coming out of the eye of the storm, and now we're coming out of the storm. The storm is passing now. Where did I leave off? Here it is. Turquoise has traditionally been a stone of vision. And what do we think of our native vision? They see the vision quest. We think about going on a vision quest. Haven't we all been on a vision quest the last few months? We talked about 3 months. Dave and I will talk about that another time, but Turquoise has traditionally been a stone of vision because of its beautiful sky blue color. Those beings that inhabit the sky, such as the hawk and the eagle, that was one of the reasons that made me think of that song, have incredible powers of vision. Flying hundreds of feet in the air, they not only see the total picture of the landscape below them, but can also discern the movements of the smallest mouse on the ground or the fish beneath the water. Then goes on to, as I continued on, as Dave had me read before. So the turquoise allows for a higher perspective of yourself and your life so that you can perceive all pieces of how they fit together. Many of the chemical elements that it contains stimulate higher vision. So that's the idea too here of stimulating a higher vision. The turquoise and the kyanite is about that, about stimulating this higher vision of ourselves. Seeing the higher versions of ourselves, how does that, if you were to embody your higher self, your higher mind, what would you be doing instead of what you're doing now? We've talked about this before. What would you be wearing? What would you be singing? What would you be eating? Where would you be living? How would you be expressing yourself every day of your life that you're not now? How could you be more authentic in your workplace that you're not being now? Are you working in a job that is not even a reflection of what you truly are? Then you must ask yourself why. What do you believe that job is providing you that a job being yourself isn't or can't? I will tell you, I always wanted to be a forest ranger. The only reason I didn't, because it didn't pay as much as working in an office. Now, did I not gain wisdom through my experience? Absolutely. Did I deny myself of being who I truly was? Absolutely. So if all of you guys are contemplating this, Jody made a comment earlier about taking a leap of faith. She's been looking at taking a leap of faith. So does this, I guess I have to ask Jody then, putting her on the spot, does this information today help you, give you the confidence, the ability to see things from a different perspective and perhaps take a leap of faith that you may not have been able to take before? And if the answer is no, that's okay too. I mean, but that's the idea is this is to empower each of us. So in that statement, Jody, is that an answer for you? And you can just shake your head if you want, that's okay. She's like, yeah. And that's fine. Is there something else you wanted to read in here? Did you? By new perceptions, beliefs, and greater sensitivity to the flow of energy. We talked about energy.
Feel your way through the new landscape after a storm in your life, or when you know you need to change your beliefs or perceive a new way of being. When you invoke the energy of the turquoise, you're asking to be shown the way of oneness and unity. The age of life is a return to wholeness. Humanity long ago volunteered to be the vehicle through which spirit could learn the duality of the physical plane.
There you go, guys. This is why you came.
We are now undertaking to reunite the dualism of light and dark, male and female, body and spirit. Turquoise shows you that you can truly exist in a state of unity, bringing all polarities and dualities into
harmonious balance. There we go. I love this. I'm going to read this again, you guys. The age of light is a return to wholeness. Humanity long ago volunteered. For those of you who ask, why am I here and why did I come here? And you think you don't belong here, to be the vehicle through which all spirit could learn duality of the physical plane. Do you guys realize now the importance, that's not even the word I want, something more important than important. Do you realize the vitalness, the necessity that we as humans who have come to embody the physical so that spirit could understand duality? Do you realize how important our job is here? This is why they call it the master's class. Do you think, I mean, not everybody gets to do this and not everybody wants to. And a lot of beings and they don't understand why would we possibly want to ever do this? and because it is thick and dark, and when we say dark, it's like looking at a black and white movie now. That's what I'm saying when I say dark. It's a different, thicker, denser reality. When we say dark, that's what we mean. And it's interesting how they called it the age of light. So when turquoise appears as your ally, it calls you to seek the unity within. And this is really the message. And this is why we do these Fridays, is because this is what it was about, is about when we don't embrace, or even we hide from ourselves, acknowledge, that's the word I'm looking for. When we don't even acknowledge that we're a multidimensional being, we're hiding something from ourselves. And it's just what is it that we all want to feel? Whole. How many people say, I don't feel whole. I don't feel connected. I want to feel whole. How many people, we all say that. What does that even mean? Well, we don't even know. So when we don't feel whole, it's because we're not embracing all that we are everywhere we are. Now, I will say to you guys, today, 5-6 years ago, okay, let me say 6 months ago, maybe a little bit longer, would I have been comfortable walking in public like this? Maybe, because I'm pretty open and bohemian that way. But honestly, in my old body, is that a good way to put it? No.
A past version of yourself.
That's a good way to put it. A past version of myself. Today, not even we would not give a second thought to go, oh my God, we need some bread. Let's go to the grocery store just like this. Do you think we care? Not anymore. Would I have done that before? No, hell no. Let me say this to you. When I say before, I would not have done this in a place where I used to live, where I could run into someone I knew or worked with. So now, is it easier for me to say that because I've moved 1,000 miles away? Maybe. Maybe. So to say, but what I will say to you, okay, so what I can say to you guys honestly now, could I now go back home and wear this in the grocery store comfortably, knowing I will probably run into somebody I know? I do not care. So what does that say about me embracing my wholeness, and what these Fridays and those Wednesdays prior, and doing these live events since this day I started this channel 5.5 years ago? I've been doing live events just like this of all different kinds, galactic gatherings, light language linguist lounges, you name it. I've had different titles for them, expanding with Wendy. All have had different themes, but they were all the same theme: accepting who you are, becoming whole, becoming comfortable with who you are, creating a space where none of you feel embarrassed to be yourselves. And so as we go off live, after we do these hangouts, as I started to say earlier, I think I didn't finish, but we often will go off live and stay in these hangouts in the room so all of you can connect with each other, say the things you don't want to say live that maybe next week you'll be more able to say live. How many of people have said to me, I want to come to your hangouts, but I don't speak light language. That's the whole point of coming. If you don't speak them and you want to, or you want to be activated, do you want to know more about it? Do you have questions? Do you want to share your symbols? Do you want to share? Oh my God, thank you so much, Earth, for sharing your kyanite. My God, this is what I'm talking about sharing the energy, coming into these spaces, bringing the parts of you that help us all become more of who we are. That is why we do these things. Did you have something you wanted to share?
Yeah, I'm just going to skip through a couple more sentences here.
Sure.
Because
I'm gonna
I mean,
reach and get some water.
clearly you felt strongly about the turquoise this morning.
I did. I really did.
So this card often appears during or just after a major storm has moved through your life.
which is all of us.
Turquoise is encouraging you to sort through the shards and pieces to put them together in a new vision of your future. Discard the fragments of your life that no longer serve and that you don't want or need to carry forward into your new reality. Save only the parts of your life that are still resonant with your heart and being and use them to construct a new vision. So clearly the same thing that we've been talking about over and over again for the last weeks about
Go ahead. Somebody just wanted to see what book we were reading from.
About seeing all the things that you like and you don't like, and what do you want to bring forward for the new future. And that might include personal things with your job or whatever, but it's also just generally in the world. The idea of schooling and how schooling works. We got to see,
yes, we got to see a whole new way
of changes with schooling. Really all aspects
of our life have really shown us different ways of doing things, that we can really take some of the elements from the storm, and what parts were the good parts that we can take forward with us, and which parts do we want to leave behind? I've heard this from a lot of people. They don't even want to, we've talked about this before, they don't want to go back to the job that they had before. So how can that show us what excites you? What are you afraid to do that you're worried that's not going to support you? So what if it is, you know what, you guys, so what if you take a job that is a couple dollars less an hour, that if it brings you a state of wholeness that allows you to become more of what you are, even if you have to wear a costume to work every day, how can you still be authentic in that costume? That's the whole point of it. So how, and I was going to show you guys too, the backs of these cards. It's a big crystal. And then it comes with this deck of cards, just so you guys are aware. This book actually comes with the deck of cards. So it has a corresponding card.
And I'm reminded also about something Bashar would say, in that when we're presented with all these different options, we're not, because everything is everything, the idea that, for instance, schooling working in the way that it used to work before, that doesn't go away, because there's a reality and where that will still continue.
Yes, exactly.
We get to decide the reality that we want to reside in. So we would move to a reality where, for instance, there's more homeschooling, or schooling is working the way we prefer. However it is we might decide. If we could think of it, a reality exists already that we could move into to have things the way we prefer it. So
yes.
I'm just reminded to say, we're not saying we want to eliminate those other things because we don't like them.
Right, exactly.
We're just moving to experience things we prefer more.
Yes.
And that's how you do it.
And that is how you do it. And I'm reminded, as you reminded me too, that again, that version already still exists. This is what we have to understand, you guys. You're not rejecting something, and it's about allowing that thing to exist, but realizing you don't have to adopt it or embrace it. You move to the reality you do prefer. So if that idea is supportive and more harmonious of who you are, then that earth is the earth you will migrate to. The version of the old ways will still exist, and we have to allow that to exist, because it's the resistance in that keeps us in the vibration we do not prefer. So rather than fighting, again, when you're posting stuff on social media, be mindful. Are you posting something you're fighting against, or are you posting something you are promoting? That doesn't mean that bringing awareness, we talked about this, Dave and I, that doesn't mean that bringing awareness to something is a bad idea, but by bringing awareness to the thing you don't want, you're still sending it energy, you guys. This is the point. post the thing and the world you do want to see, and you will move to that version of the earth that exists. The more you post the things you don't want, the more you're going to stay in the earth reality you don't want to see. It's physics, it's math, it's science. This is not woo-woo. Oh, I got a tone in my ear. Talk about woo-woo. I got a tone in my ear. I went back to the kyanite because there was something that they said to me, and it was, so I wanted to read a couple of comments here. So,
Yeah, let me go check it.
okay, thanks. I was looking at some of the comments here. Daniel says, turquoise light, Archangel Sandalphon, helping Earth's ascension. Thank you. That was part of what this highlight for today was about helping each other going through this evolution of our ascension, of our spirituality. Helping Earth's ascension, the spoken word links creative work to the celestial realms. So very interesting, again, that idea of the bridge of the kyanite card, links the creative work to the celestial realms. What we do creatively and in the physical realms is the act of our spirit, and it also sends information to the spirit realm. And hey, Jess, I just wanted to say hi. Good to see you again. Hey, and Maury, hey, Maury, hop in if you want. The Zoom link, just so you guys, for all of you, if you're new into the Hangout, I put the link, I think in the live chat, I think is to my website, but languagesoflights.com. Go to the Goddess Friday link and the link to the Zoom rooms here to hop in the room if you like. So I wanted to mention too that on the kyanite, where was it here? Kyanite can purify the energy field of a person and create a protective shield that will provide a safe space in which to do a psychic or healing work. Kyanite mandates that you act upon your intuitive guidance, and that kind of goes back to Daniel's comment as well about acting on it. And it can be a powerful aid to those who doubt their connection to spirit or who continually second guess I love this. All right, you guys, someone needs to hear this really loudly. Who continually second guess the validity of their intuitive messages they receive. Someone who's listening, watching, will watch this, is watching. If you are right now doubting the intuitive messages you are receiving, this message is for you. It helps you discern, okay, so, by prompting you to action again, kyanite helps you to learn discernment between the feeling and the results of the ego-based intuition and those of real spiritual prompting. Kyanite facilitates the creation of inner and outer energy bridges. These bridges, and the bridge is one of the things that I wrote in my journal when I very first started waking up. The bridge was one of the things I literally drew in my journal because they told me I am a bridge. They said to me, you are a bridge, and you are here to show everybody else that they're all also bridges to the physical, realm, to the spirit realm, and showing people that connection, that they're all bridges, that you are all bridges to source energy. These bridges are spans of energy between one person and another. And this is the whole internet also, collective consciousness. These bridges are spans of energy between one person and another, oneself and one's higher self, or oneself and the world. It is these bridges that we use when we wish to transmit our true energy to another or to receive true impressions from another. It also assists in the building of bridges between parts of oneself. I knew there was a reason I had to come back to this about the wholeness again, about bridging between parts of oneself that are in separation. Where are you not being authentic? Meaning, where are you separating the all that you are to because you believe you can't be yourself in your situation. Oh, here it is. It also assists us in building the bridges between parts of oneself that are in separation, bringing them into the whole so that you can be your authentic self. See, I should have just finished the sentence. Kyanite's ability to bridge energy between people also enables it to support the creation of community. And we're all talking about the creation of community through the internet collective consciousness. And hasn't this storm, in essence, by separation, created its own sense of community? Because now the horses want to be let out of the stable and say enough is enough, that when the people lead, the leaders will follow. That's a Bashar quote. Through the building, a connection and communication between people, through the building of bridges between one mind and another, you facilitate the process of real interaction as one energy being to another. Your understanding and acceptance of others becomes more complete, allowing you to share your energy with those who may require support and receive from others when you need assistance. And that's what this is about. These connections are about supporting each other when each of us needs some type of assistance, or to remind you that you're always loved and supported. And call upon, and when you leave these hangouts, remember to call upon these energies of these crystals. Call upon the energy of kyanite to aid you in creating bridges of energy between the physical and non-physical aspects of yourself. Literally ask the kyanite, whether you own a piece or not, ask the kyanite to help you bridge the energy between your physical and non-physical selves. We were joking today, I was telling Dave today about how when we were kids, we even talk about me, myself, and I. Well, did we ever really think about what we were saying? Me, myself, and I. And it's the same thing as body, mind, and spirit, Father, Son, Holy Ghost, the Trinity, the trinary consciousness, the combination of the connecting of one's body, one's mind, and one's spirit. It's all the same thing, just different definitions. We're just bridging all of ourselves. Kyanite will then assist you in connecting with others to build community and networks of energy around the planet. Networks of energy around the planet, the internet, you guys. In this way, our new world will be born. This is what the book says. In this way, our new world will be born. And this book is the Crystal Ally Cards Evolution Edition, which is funny because that was in your quote that I wrote, evolution.
Evolution of spirituality.
Thank you. Thank you. The evolution of spirituality. And that is what we're all doing right now, is we are literally connecting with each other in this evolution of spirituality. And I think it's Naisha Asia. I want to make sure I'm not pronouncing this very well, but Naisha Asian, I think is Ashian. Is that anyway? I want to say it out loud too. And if you look on there too, it's got a waterfall, an angel wings, and a crystal. And it even looks like there's some kind of something on there, on the crystals, on a crystal egg. And I wanted to see, here it is. Okay, wait.
Another thing.
You may also receive an important spiritual message or direction that merits your attention. It is now time to reach out and connect with others, join groups, or otherwise strengthen your networks to meet those people who will be significant in your future path. You may find people who are currently in your life passing out of it. A lot of people have said this about these people are leaving our lives. As you invite new people in, don't burn bridges with them. And this is what we were talking about allowing. Don't burn bridges. Just bless them and let them go. Kyanite may be pointing out that there are some unintegrated aspects of yourself. That is why Earth came to this hangout today, to help us point out any aspects of ourselves that are right now unintegrated and that you have kept tucked away from our view, from the view of others. Now, when you guys, this is what I couldn't have, I see, I already said what the book said. This is so funny that you brought that stone. I'm just so happy that you've kept tucked away from the view of others, which may now require integration for you to become whole. This is so perfect for all of what's going on all over the globe, about everybody going back to their lives, if you will, and really discerning all of this that we're talking about. Where do you need to become more integrated to become whole? For instance, are there parts of your personality or being that you keep hidden out of shame or fear of judgment by others? Isn't it funny how these two stones basically have said the same things, you guys? Very interesting. It's time to be your authentic self with everyone in your reality and no longer hide who you are. And I will tell you guys, honestly, this in my own personal life is forefront in my personal life right now, that sentence, becoming my authentic self with everyone in my reality and no longer hiding who I am. And this is part of my journey that I'm sharing with all of you in my personal journey to help all of you with your personal journey. And it is part of my own as well right now of no longer hiding who I am. Building bridges between those parts of yourself will help you feel whole and authentic. And even my mom sent to me many years ago, which I've read in some of these hangouts. I'll read it again, you guys. I'll bring it next week if I remember, about your authentic self, your fictional self, excuse me. It's called your fictional self, and will attract you to the people who will be fundamental in your community of light. Community of light. And I think from here forward, I think that is a wonderful way to put what we do here in these gatherings. This is a community of light. And maybe that sounds cheesy, but isn't that really what, see, and even if we think about the internet, and if you think about it as fiber optics, and that there's information coming through light. Okay, so the internet collective consciousness really is a community of light, isn't it? I mean, really, it's a community of rainbow light transmitting our spirits into a third dimensional representation that looks like our bodies. Is there something you want to point out here?
Well, I was just looking at the date that this was published.
And I want to read
it's
about
sort of
the horse.
interesting because, it's talking, once again, how messages come through. It's talking about things that are certainly very much in alignment with things that are going on now. This particular book, this edition is 2016, which was an update to a set of cards from 1994. So it's just very interesting how these types of messages, with the guidance of the stones and the crystals that you get, have all the information that's pertinent to now.
Yes,
And
very,
of course,
very interesting.
If we looked at this book yesterday, maybe there would be different messages on each of the pages because we were in a reality for now. So all the things in here relate to now.
That is a very good way to put it.
But I also was reminded with Earth bringing her crystals and Jody having her different crystals here, that I think it was last week or 2 weeks ago, maybe we had the crystal skulls and we connected all the
yes, and they're
together.
behind us too, you guys. The crystal skulls that we were activating and talking about are behind us.
So we should all perhaps have the intention of all the crystals that we have and all the crystals that we bring to connect into that same crystal grid of knowledge and information that was created.
Yes, I love that.
To reconnect them all together. And of course, anyone new who's here that has crystals and stones, we certainly invite you to do the same and to have a new community of all our crystals talking with one another.
I like that. Oh, and Beck says she asked them that if there was anything to share, and she got the turtle today really loudly. So a lot of turtle energy lately. And we talked about the turtle last week and the pictures that we shared. And I know Beverly I think Beverly has something to share as well. And where Jody said in the live YouTube chat, she says, I brought sunstone today and I made a sacred geometry grid with it. So very interesting that we've been talking a lot about sacred geometry. Dave and I have been talking a lot about sacred geometry here at the house. We've been talking about, last week we talked about Metatron. We've been talking about the star and the Star of David, the six-sided star. So a lot of energy with that. Beverly, was there something that you wanted to share?
Well, actually, I wanted to ask, talking of the energies, I've participated in some grid work, meditation wise, because the energies of the earth at the on Earth at the moment are so random and so fluctuating. The attack, I feel emotionally sometimes drained as to what response I'm supposed to be in. It's very confusing because, like, for the energies that's going on in America, which has had a reflection on global, with this young man that has died due to the police, I feel very torn because I don't want, as one of my family who was ranting on about it. And I said, I don't believe in violence. And I don't believe that violence is the way forward. Yet I support change and that change is necessary. And I've been very conflicted with these energies.
And many of us have.
If anybody else has felt the same, the heaviness, and
I think a lot of people have, and if anybody wants to comment on this, please, do feel free in the YouTube chat as well. But and that's funny because that's funny that you said that, because that's how I've been feeling too. And I was telling Dave that this week, that I kept feeling like the herd of horses, like they're the people, if you will, they're gathering momentum. There's this like a stampede kind of idea that I agree with you wholeheartedly. I'm not against representation. I'm not against gathering. I'm not against, I of course am still a firm believer in saying what you want rather than what you don't want. I think it has a far more positive and more powerful energy. But yet I understand exactly what you're saying. But I also believe that we can be heard without violence. And I think that if we go back to even I think of Martin Luther, he said the same thing. You cannot fight violence with violence. You can't. It doesn't work. So we can gather like the herd of horses. There's so much momentum behind a herd of horses that I feel like that's what my guides have been telling me, like my ear is to the ground and I hear the thunder coming of the hooves of the gathering of the peoples going, this is enough. We've had enough. And we're going to gather, but we're going to do it in a way of respect and freedom and acceptance and allowance, but yet that of this power of change. So I think that we, especially all of us who are empathic, telepathic, we're feeling, just like you said, Beverly, this surge of energy of, I believe that the change is necessary, but I do not believe violence is the way, but gathering is. Isn't this to whole days talking about wholeness, unity, gathering? I will say to you, I don't know anything about the story you're talking about other than I know of it. I know none of the details, haven't heard about it, haven't read about it on purpose. Not because I bury my head in the sand, but because it allows clearer messages for me when I do not watch or listen to any of that, because it influences my own reality. And so I have chosen to listen for messages without needing to know the details of the storm. I don't need to know the temperature, the humidity, the precipitation amount, metaphorically speaking, to understand that there's a storm happening and that there's going to be an aftermath and that there's going to be change and cleanup, you know, and that there's going to be damage, if you want to call it that. So,
You know, it's an interesting idea I want to share. Daniel talks about,
oh, hi, Dan.
The current event is 100% false flag, in my opinion. So even if things are happening, because certainly all kinds of things are happening and people have different perspectives, and the news is renowned for reporting things in a perspective that is typically not in a way that I would prefer to see things. And is it true or not true, or is there an agenda? It doesn't really matter, because we get to choose how we want things to be. And typically I found that the closer you become to experiencing the reality that you want to experience, the more attempts are made to make sure you really want it the way you say you want it. So if you choose to pay attention to it, you're going to see a lot of crazy stuff going on around you if you choose to focus on it. And if you choose to focus on it, then you bring those things back into reality, and because you're not really decisive. So if you stay in the energy of the things that you want, even though things around you seem to be going crazy, what you're really doing is bringing the things that you want into your reality, or you're actually moving into those
that reality.
realities.
Yes.
And I guess Bashar talks about the idea that for some amount of time, you'll be looking at those other realities sort of through a looking glass. So you'll still see them, but
it's
you don't
like
have to
through
participate.
Right. It's like you're looking at it through glass, through a window, like you're seeing it in the outside world, but it doesn't affect you inside.
And because we're still mostly at a point where we can't change from one reality to another immediately. So there has to be a time where the reality that we're moving toward and the reality that we're in slowly moves in some kind of way, which could be drastic, and sometimes it could be slow and progressive in a way that makes sense in the physical reality. But instead of, one moment saying, okay, we're in our current reality, and the next moment being in a utopia where there is no, problems of any sort,
Yeah.
which theoretically you could do.
You can, but
I guess there would be no point in experiencing physical reality
exactly
if there wasn't then the transition that occurs. And something that we're all trying to do is reduce that transition time, so we don't have to go through days or weeks or months or even minutes of going from one reality to the other. As we identify the things that we want to just go right to it. We're sick of experiencing the transition. But I guess you wouldn't appreciate
the process, I suppose.
The new reality as much if you didn't also experience
That's
the
true.
transition.
Well, we talk about that too, about our experiences in life, and that it doesn't make us appreciate, everything that we've chosen to experience. I want to say bye to Beck too. Hey, Beck, thanks. She had to leave. I wanted to say thank you for joining us today as well. But yeah.
So Daniel does talk about, that those things are lower frequency things. And I think it's important to keep in mind that those lower frequencies are always going to still exist because they're part of everything.
And yes.
So they could play in their low frequency. They're going to still exist. They're going to be people and things that want to experience those lower frequencies. And I guess if there was nobody to experience the lower frequencies, they would fall away. But the more people that we can experience the higher frequencies with, the less those type of things are going to start popping into our experience. And
Yes.
that's certainly what I would prefer, less of those lower frequency things coming into our experience.
And actually, we were even talking about that, about even like the grocery store, and you know, thus far, I realized that there have been, like, if we want to call shortages of things, but we've never once run out of anything. Honestly, I mean, never once. Even though there weren't always the things we needed at the time, we have never once not been able to get what we needed. Even when things weren't there, we still have not run out of anything at all, not once. And now, like the store the other day we went, was it yesterday, filled with toilet paper again. Like, you know.
Let me share a very quick toilet paper story. So, you know, it's toilet paper. You need toilet paper. I don't want to run out of
fact of life,
paper.
you know.
So toilet paper is one of the few things and paper towels that are just almost never on the shelves. So there was like one bag of toilet paper. I forget the brand, but there was like,
I remember.
there were 4 rolls of toilet paper in this little tiny bag of toilet paper.
It was
and
it was
the
small.
advertisement on it was that they would last a month.
A month for a roll.
for
And I'm thinking, what criteria are they using?
So here's the funny thing about that roll of toilet paper. That was advertised to last a month. In our reality, where we want truths to, you know, show more than, you know, non-truths, I'm pretty sure that bag of 4 rolls of toilet paper has lasted more than a month because we're not opening it.
Because we haven't even opened it yet.
But
because we never ran out. It was like, so it was just so funny. Our mentality, we were talking about earlier, as Bashar would say, you can have an abundance of lack if that's what you want, but we never once had an abundance of lack mentality, Dave and I. We just always knew we would always have what we needed when we needed it. Even when we were down to, as we've joked about, our sugar, even when we were down to our last little bit of sugar, we always had enough sugar, always had enough coffee, always had all the things we needed. And the most important things that we really do need, like the toilet paper, the paper towels, the things that we really need, that we would consider necessities in our daily life. No matter what it was, we have never once run out of anything ever. We were able to find it online, or if,
sometimes we might be forced to buy a different brand or a different style of the item.
Right.
And it turns out we find out that we like that better after all.
Yeah, exactly. So, and it's funny because then every time we would buy it, so we would make sure we had it. It was like that roll, that pack that was supposed to last a month kept going to the back of the barrel, you know. So anyway, it was just kind of funny how we have this lack mentality that we need to stock up on everything. And by doing that, we create the lack in the store. You know what I'm saying? We created our own lack, people, by our own fear. So isn't it interesting? You know, so anyway, it's just, I don't want to get into that too much because it creates the very reality we don't want. But the point is that if we go by the idea that abundance means being able to do what you want to do when you want to do it, to have what you need to do when you need to do it, if we realize that and use that as our definition, I think that we would all agree that no matter what that we've experienced in our lives as lack, I would think that all of us sitting here today would agree that no matter what, we always ended up having exactly what we needed, because if we didn't, we wouldn't be sitting here vertical and breathing and talking. Because we wouldn't, because you basically, what we need: air, water, food, love and support. We need to dream. and we need to be connected to each other. We need to connect to our higher self. So if you have all those things, which are also outlined in the 7-week, 49-day Bashar challenge thing that I did, which I'm going to be separating out as I talked about last week. But if you talk, that's what it's all laid out is if you understand that you have these things, you have what you need, then it's almost like we have this freedom about us that when no matter what you do, and leap of faith, taking the leap of faith, all of that, when you know without a shadow of a doubt that you will be guided and supported and have everything you need no matter what, it puts you in the sense of freedom that you are then, instead of feeling like you're not in control, that you're and control is really not control at all. It's about allowance and letting go. So if we can understand that control is allowing your higher self to bring you the things that you need, but you got to know it. Again, believing is seeing. Seeing is not believing. It doesn't work that way. You cannot, the mirror will not reflect your hands moving unless you move. It doesn't work the other way. You can sit there all day long and ask your hands to move in the mirror, but if you don't move it first, it's not going to do anything. And I wanted to read here too, I love this, whoops, the card fell out. The animal spirit deck, maybe isn't necessary today because we're running late on time again. But I wanted to share the idea of the horse energy because it's been so passionate with me. And if you'll notice too, there's a little sliver moon there in the third eye of the horse.
And you see that little symbol right there?
That is.
So we were looking at these cards.
And we were talking about the elements.
And the delivery girl from, it might have been
Amazon,
yeah,
that's right.
Came up and Ranger was barking at her and she was a little scared. So she didn't really want to hang around a lot, but she had a tattoo on her leg of that.
So isn't that funny? And so he and I both knew immediately what it was. Now, had I seen it, as I told Dave, I would have immediately said something to her and made a connection with her because of that symbol. I would have said to her, I know what that is. And then we would have struck up a conversation. So perhaps if she comes again, and then I can talk to her about it. So interesting that he brought that up. And I wanted to bring up what you said earlier. In this book, The Animal Spirit Deck by Kim Krans, the book is laid out, not in alphabetical order, but it's laid out by element. So all of the earth element animals connected with the earth element archetype, if you will, are in one section and so forth. So this book is actually laid out by the elements, earth, water, air, and fire. So the horse being an earth sign, we're all going through a global earth change, right? The earth as we know it, or as we understand it, parallel versions of earth are changing. The horse represents momentum, freedom, expansive energy, and force. I just wanted to show you guys the book so you can take a look at it or do a screenshot if you want. The horse represents the most masterful form of earth energy within the deck. It provides us with momentum, so reliable, so supportive that you can ride on its back toward any goal, no matter how difficult the terrain. A horse personality is fully awakened, fully alive, and cannot be defeated. This is your answer, guys, for right now with what's happening. The horse's freedom becomes available to us when we hone and collect our energy through the daily practice. Physical stamina, exercise in parentheses, and mental focus, meditation in parentheses, are the secret weapons behind the horse's legacy. When it's in balance, it achieves anything, never gives up. When it's out of balance, it runs away and feels weak. To bring it into balance, we need strength training. So Perhaps you need more physical activity. Perhaps you need more meditation in your life. Perhaps you need to balance them. Maybe you've got doing too much meditation and not enough of physical exercise, or the other way around. Sometimes we don't recognize that, and we think that more of this is a good thing. Maybe some of you need to hear that you need to balance this more. So I think that, and I'm reminded about the feather, a couple of things. The feather, the greatest power lies in the lightest touch. And what was the other thing about the feather and the balance, about at the end of your life?
Oh, you weigh your soul against the feather?
Yeah, but what is I don't remember the metaphor.
They have to balance.
They have to balance. So anybody who wants to clarify that metaphor, but I've heard that before.
That was the Egyptian gods of the underworld to get in.
Oh, okay. I didn't even know that part. See how that all tied in? So funny how, and we were talking about the avian collective too. I've got the bird cards here, but I think we're we're running late on time, but we just need to start doing more videos, because of course I have all these things that I never get to share. But so the avian collective, the birds, the idea of feathers, again, we're talking about feathers and wearing feathers today. And the Native Americans, as we know, the eagle feather is protected. It's today in the United States, and I think this is everywhere in the world, but in the United States, it's illegal to own or possess or touch even an eagle feather currently by law. The Native American law is the Native American laws are you cannot own or touch an eagle feather because of how sacred they are. And you can be fined, I believe I read it last week, it was like something like $250,000 or something.
I don't want that reality.
It's a lot, I know. So because I've always wanted to be gifted with an eagle feather. So that's one of the things that in my preference for reality, now that the eagle is present in every state of the United States and is no longer on the endangered species list, that in my reality, I would like it to be for all of us to possess that energy, or to be able to possess that feather, but as a way of reverence, of recognition, as today we are honoring that. And I'm honoring my Native American, if that's what you want to call it, spirit guides that came to me. One is a young female and one is an elder tribe member with the headdress, the whole 9 yards, with the eagle feathers, the chief. So I have like each kind of different guide for different reasons. Sorry, my nose is itching, guys. Sometimes the angels start doing that. My nose starts to itch.
Is there some light language?
Yeah, probably. So yeah, we're going to do some light languages. Oh, Anubis. I wanted to mention that too. Daniel says too, any feeling on the full moon, partial lunar eclipse. I wanted to talk about that too, and 7 planets. And yes, the 7 planets is a whole nother thing, you guys, about the message I'm getting right now about the 7 planets and what we talked about before. It's all related to, see, I'm getting that energy. The 7 rays, the 7 light rays, the rainbow, the idea of the rainbow and all of us being a prism. That idea of when you look through a prism, you see, I'm reminded of, was it Pink Floyd, the album cover, with the prism coming out of the triangle? Isn't it interesting how even Pink Floyd back then, and think of the songs that they sing in the lyrics, but that depiction itself of that prism is really very symbolic for all of us right now. The rainbow light, the rainbow children, the rainbow this, the rainbow that, the rainbow connection. That song that's been the Rainbow Bridge. We talk about the Rainbow Bridge. When you cross the Rainbow Bridge, you're going to the other side. We've always used that term, Rainbow Bridge. So, and then Jessica, the Rainbow Kids, the Rainbow Tribe, the Rainbow Children. So all of these things are all connected to the 7 days. We talked about the 7 days of, if you want to look at from that scriptural sense, scriptural sense, the idea of 7 days of creation, of we celebrate the idea of the Sabbath, the day of rest. The number 7 meaning the spirit, connection to spirit. 777, we've talked about that idea of being lucky. The lucky numbers equals 21 equals 3, the trinary connection,
Jackpot.
the jackpot. We've been talking a lot about sevens this last couple of weeks, just even Dave and I personally, and things that we've looked up about the number 7. And so very interesting that you bring that up, Daniel, about that, about the 7 and the 7 planets in retrograde. Because when we think about planets in retrograde, we think about them as, even though it's not true, they visually appear to be going backwards. So aren't we globally, even what many people have even said about spirituality, if you will, going backwards? Are we really going backwards by re-embracing the native elements as opposed to the lab created healing modalities? So in other words, you know, are we going backwards? Yeah, we are. We're revisiting, rethinking, reviewing, and reevaluating the importance of all of those things that not only our native spirit guides brought to us from the planet itself, but that we understand that we all have what we need right here on Earth, and that everything is supplied here. We're never without anything. And how that connection to the elements, how they taught us this wisdom, and how we represent. And I was thinking about the clock too, that time clock that idea that that you sent Beverly too, about all of this seems to have to do with our concepts of time. And we have 7 days in our week, as we mentioned too. So I was trying to think what else. Oh, and Jesse just says, I've had the visions of the prism and crystal pyramids. That's what this is all about. The pyramids and the prism. And I've actually have several videos that I've done on my channel channeling the Prism Collective. It's a thing. It's an essence. It's a thing. It's the colors of the rainbow expressing itself as a collective consciousness. It's prism. It is the consciousness of prism expressing itself as a prism for us, through us, by us, and through rainbows. I don't know how else to explain it. And then we look at ourselves as blue rays, red rays. You know, it's funny. We were talking about that the other day. How people they see themselves as a blue ray, a purple ray, violet ray, a blue ray. Why, we were talking about the other day, why do we identify? Why do we as people identify with those particular things? I'm a blue ray, I'm a green ray, I'm a violet ray. It's all about the colors. Why do we have 7 chakras? We have more than 7 chakras, but we understand today we only have 7, and they are represented by each color. So why are they 7 colors? So all of this is a question we all need to ask, because we're all going to get the answers now. We're all putting it out there. Why 7? Why 7? Why 7? Now we're all going to start getting representations in our reality, in our physical reality. Why is 7 relevant? All of us today, from here forward, everyone in this hangout, anyone who watches it, Daniel, all of us are going to start getting representations of what does the 7 mean. Please share them. If you guys get an epiphany, let us know, because this is how we all grow and expand. So there is something to be said for the reason why there's 7 days of creation. Why is that? Do you know from a receiving the Torah, from a biblical sense? Why is that? Why is it 7? Does it say? I'm curious, because I'm curious.
I'm not sure, but I want to say the number 7 is obviously very important, and the Torah starts off with the idea of 7 days, 7 main things that occurred. So
interesting. So isn't it funny?
And it's sort of interesting too, that sort of the way it describes creation is, it says there was nothing and then there was light, and from that separated out the different things.
Right. So, and if we
so
remember from the beginning, it was light was first.
Yes.
Everything is light, you guys. Everything is light.
If you think of the creation of light going through a prism, you visually sort of see 7 rays coming out of the prism. So perhaps that's where the 7 comes
and
from.
You know what, too, I wanted to mention as the question or the comment on that Jody Reiki made is that it's also Pride Month. And that, isn't it funny how we even use the word pride as a representation of all of those things, right? About being proud of who we are. And why is it that that idea, that this representation of all that we are, let's think about that for just a minute. What does the Pride Month represent? And what does that idea of, and why do we feel that we need to separate this idea? But by separating the idea, we're bringing it together, aren't we? Why is the representation of the rainbow used for that idea of being something other than a heterosexual relationship? So the idea is to encompass all of those things. So being Pride Month this month too, and the rainbow, that's a very good thing to bring up, is we're running out of letters because we're all of those things. We're all of those things. All of us are all of those things. Just because we decide to represent ourselves in a particular manner, in a particular version of Earth, doesn't mean we aren't all and don't all possess all of those things. So when we talk about pride and using the rainbow as the representation, that's all that means, is being proud of all of the things that you are. And so don't we see how metaphorically in a human collective consciousness representation of all of these things, of all of these different possibilities of every possible relationship there is to be had, is we're trying to label a letter for each one of those things, when we're just, if you take away all the letters, we're human. We're human. I've always believed that there should only be one Earth flag. I've just always felt that way, that it should just be one flag, we're human. This represents Earth. So maybe that flag should contain the rainbow. I don't know, but and when we think about even the representation of Native Americans, and if we get down to the metaphorical representation, they represent all the stars, they represent all the animals, they represent all the elements, they represent all the elementals. And if we remember, you guys, the Elohim, that which is closest representation of God, if you will, the elementals, the elements, the Eliahai, there's an L collective, EL. So that whole idea is to remind us that is all, everything's connected. All of that, we are all that. We are the light, all of us. And so when we understand that the light, the prism, the rainbow children, we talk about the crystal children, that idea of Pride Month, if you will, all of that is just nothing more than reminding ourselves we are all of those things. We're all the rays, all the colors, all the frequencies. We represent them all. And I'm loving, the last card I wanted to pull was, I was actually going to have Dave pull it just because I was guided to let him pull it. And the back of the card, this is and the horse energy, and this idea of the horse and the unicorn and colors and rainbows, that the Aurora Borealis is also representation of all of that. The colors, all of the colors of the rainbow, the colors of the sky, the colors of every crystal, that we are really all, I was thinking about that song. Oh, very good, Daniel. Electricity, EL, electricity, light. Light equals 29/11 or 1111. Here we go. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that, Daniel. That's exactly right. And Dave and I and me also, like I said, I've had videos of sharing pictures and videos about the Prism Collective. If you guys want to do a search on my channel for Prism Collective on Languages of Lights with plural, or language, you can find it on my channel. Because they have messages that I don't even remember, honestly, you guys, I don't remember what they said, but they have messages for us. Every time you see a prism or a rainbow, and then I was reminded about the elementals and the jackpot and the lucky clover and the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, you guys. You are the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. That's the message. Okay. Strength. The challenge will make you stronger. This challenge will make you stronger. You will get through to the other side. Look for the gifts in the situation. There you go, guys. Look for the gifts in the situation. What have we been talking about all day? And look at that card. The dark stallion, the light stallion, the dark and the light, the strength. You all have it. We all have what we need to get through this. Look for the gifts in this situation. Isn't that what we've been talking about all day today, about this whole idea of this global transition and looking for the gifts and what is going to come out of this? We have got to start looking and taking with us the elements of the energy. Thank you, Daniel, for that. The elements of the energy behind the storm here, and taking the elements of the parts that we want and moving that into the harmonious version of the earth that we all desire. And so that, I think, really is a very important message for all of us. It couldn't have been a more perfect card. This challenge will make you stronger. You will get through to the other side. Look for the gifts in the situation. Did you want to share something, Beverly?
I was just thinking about that crop circle picture I sent you.
Yes.
And
that was a recent one, correct? So, if you look,
yeah,
and it looked like the yin yang sign.
Yeah.
The balance, the black and white.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking about.
Exactly.
And strange enough, I've been seeing that sign all over this week. It's been coming up all over.
And that's one of the things that Dave and I had.
And Jodie's nodding. So she's.
Oh, and she's like, yes. And isn't that what it's been about? And this is one of the things that we talked about starting these Fridays, is about when we embrace the God goddess within us. You guys were understanding, we're bringing back this balance we're bringing the balance back to ourselves, in that when we visit our twin flame, which is your own mirror, you guys, when you are your 100% authentic self, that's your twin flame. Then you're going to meet the person who reflects that back to you. That's your twin flame. You. Let's get that straight. Oh, Dave just pulled a beautiful card. She's got a rose in her hair, which is very synchronistic for him and I. And he always buys me roses, by the way. Receive. Be open to receiving goodness. Believe you are worthy of abundance. A gift is coming to you soon. See, I told you were supposed to pull a card. And look how beautiful.
Well,
now
I had
we
to
have
establish my
the white horse. Now we have the white horse. Look at how beautiful.
yin and yang.
Yin and yang, black and white. See, you guys, you can't make this crap up. Look how beautiful that image is. And I'll bet you that's probably a rose quartz in her hand. So let's just say hi and invite the energies of the rose quartz. I was just playing with my rose quartz yesterday, as a matter of fact. And look at this beautiful being. So in your endeavors, you guys. Oh, there's two butterflies in the background. Sorry, I dropped the card. Pine trees also. Dave and I have been definitely connecting with the pine tree energy. I want you guys to look this stuff up. Horse animal totems, pine tree, the pine energy. What else are we talking about? 1111, the rose quartz, kyanite, turquoise. But there's a message here about the heart energy, about the rose quartz. Oh, roses, you guys. I did a video about this a long time ago, about roses being the gods and goddesses, the kings and queens of the flower kingdom. The rose is the only, this is it. The rose is the only flower that comes naturally in every color. Naturally in every color. And the rose also has the thorns. So you've got the dark and the light, the polarity, and each color of the rose is a different color, which represents a different value of love. Each one is a different kind of love. Passionate love, friendship love, kindness love. So when we talk about giving roses, if you give someone even one rose in a particular color, look it up and be mindful, or buy yourself that color rose, which is why we do it and why he's always picking different color roses too. Each rose represents a different type of love, but it's all love. But it's all different types of love you need to have for yourself. First and foremost, you are your twin flame. So once you become authentic and you are the prism of the roses of yourself, that's when you, if you want to call it meet your twin, you cannot meet the equal, divine, balanced, perfect balanced representation of yourself until you become that of yourself. You cannot expect another person to do that for you. That's not how that works. That's what we're coming into terms with understanding. You are your own balance. You are your own twin flame. Once you become all the colors of your own rainbow, then you meet that harmonious person version, if that's part of what you want to experience, which isn't everybody's experience. Just because you're alone doesn't mean you're lonely. Just because you're alone doesn't mean you're supposed to be with somebody either. So we need to identify all of this stuff. So I think even Pride Month helps us understand that there's all kinds of love. There's all kinds of representations of love and all kinds of colors of love. That's what this is about. But it's about you guys. It's about yourself. All of the colors of love about you and within yourself. Go ahead. I know you want something to say.
I do. I want to try something pretty cool.
Okay.
I think.
Pretty cool, I think.
I think all of us here, because before everyone has to leave.
Yeah, we got to go.
And us. I want to wave to all the intergalactic and interdimensional people and things and beings out there. Everybody wave.
Bye, everybody.
And also to our future selves, our past selves, our other parallel reality selves, because we're all watching and they're all watching. And we certainly invite them to be here and to watch and participate and contribute, as well as everyone here in this reality.
And I want to thank all of you guys for bringing your multidimensional selves here to all of you who are new and old and all in between, who've been with us for the first time or many times. We invite you all to bring your love, your spirits, your cards, any of the things you want to share, your symbols, your light languages. As you see, this hangout isn't just all about light languages, but it's about how are we all light? How do we illuminate each other? How do we make each other be our most true, beautiful colors? How do we encourage each other to go get the lives we want, to live the lives we want, to live in the houses we want, to accept that we're going to have everything that we need, and taking that leap of faith and saying, this is what I want. And I know no matter what, and that I can believe that I'm going to experience everything there is to do with everything that I want. If I can experience what I don't want, I can equally experience what I do. And by embracing the God and Goddess within us, and Goddess Friday is a thing. It's an actual thing that it was a day that was devoted to honoring the goddess. That is, Goddess Fridays is a thing. It's an exploration, and this is and Dave inspired me to do this. And then he talked me into it about dressing up. I was kind of not crazy about the idea, not really, because of my own judgmental self-judgment beliefs. And I thought, why not? It's fun. It gives us all the opportunity to, again, represent a lot of the things that he and I've talked about. Why do we have all these representations in videos, music, television, movies, relics, superheroes? We talk about superheroes. We talk about the comic books. We talk about the superheroes who do have superpowers and the superheroes who don't actually have any superhuman abilities, but we call them heroes. Batman, Robin, we talk about that. So it's about encompassing all of that within us, how we represent that stuff on television, the things that we watch, the things that we do, why we dress up, why we hide, why do we wear costumes to work?
That reminds me too, because we're almost out of time.
We gotta go.
But for all of you watching, investigate yourself, because that's what we encourage you all to do. We give you these ideas and you look into them further, however you are so guided. but the idea of Sagittarius
Yes.
and the arrows.
Yes, the arrows.
And Robin Hood.
Yes, we didn't even get to talk about this
No.
thing that Dave looked up yesterday or the other day, and about today we were going to share it. I'm like, you go to share it, and then of course we go in a different direction. But that was really good about the. I had no idea about that connection. That was really weird.
And
Osiris and
how it all ties back
so
to
weird.
Egypt and Isis.
Oh.
If you keep looking,
you keep finding stuff.
You'll always lead back to Isis.
And did you know, I read today, I was thinking about the star Sirius. It's pouring. Is he okay?
Yeah. I better go check.
Yeah, you better go check. It started pouring here, you guys, and AJ's outside. The star Sirius was the marking of the flooding of the Nile. Something about that, it was something about the representation of the flooding of the Nile. So very interesting, even how the star Sirius even connects back to that idea of ancient Egypt and all of that too. So it's just interesting how we love exploring the connection to all these things, whether it's the connection to the pyramids, light languages, symbols, animal archetypes, God and goddess archetypes, hero energy, that idea of the heroes and heroines in our lives, us becoming more authentic beings. How does all this relate to what part are we playing in physical reality, and how does what we do physically matter and change physical reality in all of the parallel realities that are connected to us and each one of us, and how does that help all of our souls grow? So that's one of the things that we explore. So when we talk about multidimensionality, that's simply what that means, is we're beings of many, many lights and layers and colors and explorations. And this is our way of honoring all of those parts of all of us, and doing that together in a place where we can feel good and safe and secure and not feel awkward or embarrassed. So this is the safe, sacred space to be able to do that and explore more of that you are, so that you can become more empowered in your daily life and the decisions that you make, the state of being that you choose, the things that you choose to feed yourselves. And that includes, what do you feed yourselves visually? What are you looking at or reading on the internet? What are you sharing? What are you watching on television? What are you sharing? What are you afraid to share on the internet that you may not want somebody in your family or your friends to see you sharing? That may be a thread of authenticity that you don't want them to see. And I will say, in all honesty, you guys, this is the first time in my entire life ever, and especially since I started my YouTube channel, which I started my YouTube channel and a whole year I was on YouTube, and now one person in my family, and including my partner at the time, did not even know I had a YouTube channel for an entire year. So do not let that be an excuse to not be your authentic self, because if they're not in their radar, they're not going to find you anyway. So, but I would say that this is the first time in my life, and with the help of Dave and my own willingness, and our willingness to be crazy and raw and embarrassed and fun and all of those things and looking silly. But this is the first time I've been probably as authentic as I've ever been in my entire life, and in every way I possibly can be with everyone in my life that I possibly can be within my own current belief systems. And I'm also growing and changing in that way. And that doesn't mean I do everything I want, the way I want, how I want, when I want. I'm still learning and growing and changing, just like you guys are. And by you guys coming to these hangouts, you help me continue to be that person and be more of that authentic person. And I think every week, what can I do next? What can I share next? How can I share my passion in a way I've never shared it before? And I will say to again, you guys, I've got probably eight cards again that I didn't even read today or pull today, because I just let the guides tell me where to go
and what needs to be shared and when, with how, and with whom. And so I wanted to thank all of you. I want to thank Earth today for bringing such a valuable, powerful message today with that wonderful, ginormous kyanite. Oh my God. So I have a piece of blue kyanite, and I also have a piece of Indian kyanite, which I believe are still packed with my crystals. So I think they are. If I didn't, I'm remiss for not bringing them today. So if I find them, I'll take pictures of them. But nonetheless, there's a variety of kyanite as well. Each of them have their own little special story. So as Dave mentioned, rather than us sitting here reading all this stuff to you, I invite all of you, look up kyanite, look up turquoise, look up the horse animal totem, look up the owl. We never even got to that, and we're just way too long on time today. So look up the owl spirit, look up the animal spirits for even the unicorn. And I'm just looking around at the birds and the blue jays and the dove, the beautiful dove. The doves are outside our door all the time, reminding us of that inner peace. And so take this stuff, take it to the next level, take your passion as far as you can take it, moment by moment, as far as you can with what you've got, and let it be the catalyst to your next joy and excitement, your next epiphany, that magical synchronicity that's going to fall in your lap. I want to thank all of you who have friended me on Facebook, requested my friendship on Facebook, who have sent me messages, asking questions, giving me your comments, sharing your light languages. So many of you share your light language blessings with me, your audio clips. I thank you. I appreciate that. So many of you who have asked for my services, whether it be private sessions, oracle card readings, light language activations. Maybe you want to just have a consultation about light languages that you're not sure about. All of these things and anything else in between. Typically a session is a very, very, very detailed, it's like this on steroids. We cover everything. I deeply go into meditations and receive information specifically for you and symbols for you. I share all of that, the symbols that I draw, any psychic information I receive. I'm thinking back to even before I met Dave and all the information I received just tapping into his energy. And because he was willing, and this is another thing I want to say is, as you said earlier about saying hi to our guides, do this every day when you wake up, or every night before you go to sleep, or anytime in between when you're feeling a little unsettled. Remind yourself that say hi to them, because by saying hi, you're acknowledging their presence. And by acknowledging their presence, they become present within you. And you remind yourself you're supported, and that's when those answers come. And when you're able to receive more information. And so I just forgot what else I was going to go with that. So if I forgot something, I don't remember.
Oh, about being open and willing to receive.
Yes, and being able, yes, and being willing to receive that information is what is actually giving your guides permission to send you more information. Because when we don't ask and it is given, again, if you're not asking for it, you're only going to be given the things that you're willing to explore. And it's just like teaching somebody something. You typically have to learn one concept before you can grasp another. And so by doing that, you're giving permission to your higher self to send you the things that you want, but it's up to us to keep our belief systems in check to not prevent those things from coming to us. And that's really the crux of creation and creating the reality that you want. It's not about manifesting the things you want. It's about allowing the things that are already there to come to you, and you becoming a version of that earth where it already exists. And this is where we're learning to change, like Cryon says, forget everything you ever knew. Forget everything you ever knew about how you go about creating your reality. That's why we do these hangouts as well. So thanks again for joining us. Thank you so much for your love, your patience, your time, for stopping in, whether you're here for a few minutes, whether you're here for the duration. We appreciate, we love you. We're so grateful for your presence, your energy, your wisdom, your contributions. And of course, whether you dress up, whether you don't, but of course it's always fun. So bring your stuff, your jewelry, your feathers, your hats, your oracle cards, and join us. Please do join us. And thanks. But it's more important what you do with this information when you leave these hangouts. about being the more you about out in the world and creating that blissful state of being that you prefer, meaning knowing you can do what you love and be supported doing what you love and what you're passionate about, and that your work is your play and your play is your work. So thank you all for joining us. Thank you, all of you, for being in the room with us today and every Friday, and all your comments, all of you out there in YouTube chat land. Thank you, everyone, and see you all next week. Providing nothing happens to change that. And thank you, Dave and AJ and everyone else, for all of the wisdom you bring to me. So, si vashono tole ilasa sina tokoyana. Ilaso no pole kesana si tobiana biala kopayatea. Ni asoso shiamadokoda kiasano se. Amiala kita vashono atia moso vashana sete. Ibayu maliatu maikia nasho tobialo malo vashana se. Imalia numelia kotabiana niatu ahaba kotarishe. Mi ayana ni aso savishana se sevo so paliati. Simotobe kita vashin haitiavako. Sevo soma senetiavakua lehe liamalo kotarishe se. Mikaya. Nite vaso digaya deva Elohim aliafa sofayate alayatorovaku pleashana diavatora ki kiatarashi sisimato ihina ehalakita vashano maate amate eteotorashe imaruku isamosote vishinose isamasone belake bi anuma satobashi tetea setose kiapasho. All right, so I don't know where this came from, but I'm being guided to share to all of those who are either, I'm not sure exactly how they want me to say this, to all of those who are carrying a child right now, or they're saying, or in the process of conception, or perhaps have already been conceived and you're not yet aware of it. Very specifically, they're saying to these parents and these mothers, there's a very special psychic connection that's being developed between the children that are being born this year and their parents, but more significantly, these children that are being born this year are going to be very, very crucial in the psychic development of the human collective consciousness in their ascension process, and that the parents of these children are going to be receiving messages from these unborn children, psychically, even audibly. And I just want to say to you that I'm being told to tell you not to be upset or frightened, or that you're not going crazy. There's a very special, there's some things I've been wanting to share with you, and I will be sharing them in future transmissions, but there's some things I've been receiving about the children being born this year, and specifically in November, in the 11th month. But with respect to some other things that Beverly's video actually prompted me to think about again. But there's going to be special messages that these parents are going to be, and I say parents because it's not just going to be mothers, it's going to be both parents, but mothers specifically, but parents, because the fathers are equally as psychically connected to these children as the mother is. So I want to remind you about that, about the balance, mothers and fathers here. That these children are going to have very special telepathic messages from you that you're going to be receiving, and you will also be able to actually have conversations with these children in vitro in a way we have never been able to before. So I don't typically share these messages, these specifically, but this particular line of thinking on and has been very powerful for me in the last several months. And I'm only guided to share them as I'm guided to share them. And today for whatever, oh, I know why, because today is 6/5, which equals 11. So we've got the 33 energy, the crystalline consciousness, Christ consciousness, trinary energy. And when you think of two parents and a child, 2 + 1 + 1 equals 3. You create a third energy, a third being. So this happens with you and your guides. Also, you create a third reality in which the three of you exist. So this relates to the children being born this year. However, and this also relates to the teachers, I'm being told right now, of these children, which we're going to talk about later in other transmissions as well. So for whatever reason, I know this, I did not expect to share this right now at this time of the video, but whoever needed to see this, it was important. Because I'm just hearing that someone needed to hear this because they're receiving messages they're not clear about, and they're thinking it's something negative, and it's not. It's quite the opposite. And so I wanted all of you and all of us all over the globe to be aware that the children that are being born this year are going to be very special children, and they are really good. They're going to be very significant in our psychic ability expansion process and the accessibility to those other aspects of ourselves. That's it. So I don't know where that came from, but anyway, okay, guys.
I'm going to tell you something very strange now today.
Okay, go ahead.
Very quickly. You've just given that message, and that wasn't for me. I'm well past that, my age. But my friend,
not necessarily. Not necessarily. That's another thing I'm supposed to say.
But today, my friend sent me a picture video of her her son's wife, who's expecting a baby very soon.
Oh.
So it was the image.
Oh, yes. Somebody else, I just saw that someone in my family is expecting a baby in November. So I was receiving more information. And she sent also the picture of the baby.
Yes.
Yes.
This was a video, and I've never seen
such
video? Clarity, a video, and it was in 4D. You know, it was amazing. But you know what I saw? And I didn't believe it until you just read that message. I saw the baby's the eye. I saw
my God.
Forehead. I saw the eye, and I had to replay it. And I thought, oh my God. And it was big. It wasn't a little, it was this huge thing kept opening up in the middle of its forehead.
Oh my God. See?
It was amazing.
I knew there was somebody I was supposed to get this message for. So maybe you are also supposed to relay this message to the parents, but maybe that's the reason. But there's like I said, there's someone else in my family too that I just found out that they're expecting, and they're expecting in November. And I got to see the ultrasound, and I have never seen such a clear ultrasound before. But what you just said, I've never seen before, where they show a video in 4 dimensions. So are you saying that you can see the baby from different sides?
Oh, you can see the baby. Well, they only show you the head, the straightforward view, and you can only see the head, because it must be quite a big baby now.
Okay.
But this baby, you can see she's opening her eyes, and she's looking. She is so perfect. It is amazing. You know, I've got my video.
I'm looking forward to those
picture.
pictures.
I've got my picture, which is pathetic compared to what they can do now, you know.
Oh, I'm excited. Well, I'm excited to see pictures, not only maybe of the baby, if you're so inclined to share them, that would be really exciting. But there's something about that, what you just said, And I'm laughing because I'm looking down at this animal spirit deck with this big ass eye on it. And I'm going, well, Beverly, maybe that's your answer. I'm like, I don't know. What do you guys think? And Dave, he's got all these images on here. It's like, I don't know. This is feeling awfully energetic. So yeah, I don't know. Something about this third eye energy is, and all the chakras. And so that was quite a message. And as I said, I'm not usually that specific, but there's some very specific information I've been guided to share. And I guess now's the time to start letting it out. So that was like kind of like they're telling me kind of the first little bits of it, if you will. But so thank you all. And thank you, Beverly, for sharing that, because that was kind of like the full circle, the completing the circuit. So thank you for saying that, because I had no idea. And maybe that message was for you. I don't know. I don't know. But anyway.
Very strange coincidence. I only looked at it today.
And you just looked at it today. Well, then.
Yeah.
So there we have it, folks. There's another testament to our psychic ability. So there we have it. Well, much love to all. Thank you all of you for being here. Happy Goddess Friday. Happy Sabbath. Thank you so much. We love you all. Thank you, Beverly. Thank you, Earth. Thank you all for joining us. Namaste. Kia to,
Namaste.
Isha. Love you. Bye, you guys.